Hey everyone, and welcome back to our DC Films podcast. This is episode 6, and I'd probably say this is probably our most anticipated episode since we've started, considering, we just got done with Comic-Con. I was there, I saw a lot of cool stuff, but of course, this is going to be pretty much all Comic-Con talk from what came out of Comic-Con in terms of news and the trailers and stuff. This will probably be one of our longest episodes. So back here with me are some of the awesome people who've kind of been here since the beginning with me. If you guys want to go back around and reintroduce yourselves.
I am Greg Onglaw on Tumblr, and my name is Ardome.
Hi, I'm Lily from Lily Loves Comics on Tumblr.
I'm Katie, and I'm Story Advocate on Tumblr.
All right, thank you guys for joining me today. And I think we're all, to say the least, we're all really excited to talk about all this stuff today.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So, obviously, the big thing we're going to be talking about today is the trailer, but I thought it would probably be, since that's going to be the majority of our discussion, we'll probably hold off on that for a little bit, because there was some pretty significant DC stuff that came out news-wise that I thought we should probably talk about before we spend 3.5 hours talking about the trailer. So, there are some news outlets reporting on Thursday, it was like Thursday and Friday, talking about Warner Brothers was looking for a way to kind of get Ben out of playing Batman, and of course we all saw that and we're like, oh, seriously, this again? Yeah, and it was so dumb, and of course, for a while, when those rumors came up before, it was annoying, and then, at the time, Ben hadn't really said anything, so that doesn't really help, but, I knew he wasn't gonna want to leave, and then at Comic-Con, at the panel on Saturday, Ben comes out and says, he pretty much says, I'm not going anywhere. Batman is the best fucking role in the world. I don't want to give this up. So he pretty much, squashed those rumors down, immediately. So that's really comforting to know, as a fan, he's still excited to play the role.
Yeah. It's like a dream job for him, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and, plus it's something for his kids, too.
Oh gosh, he's too old, we better just push him right out.
Yeah, and it's look at Tom Cruise's acting career. Look at Robert Downey Jr.
Exactly.
I know, that's the
problem with Ben
Affleck. Made me laugh the hardest. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's what, when, for anyone listening, before we started recording, I was just talking about this. So on Saturday, when I was done volunteering, because I was volunteering at Comic-Con, I went right to the DC booth, and I waited probably about 2 hours just for the Justice League cast to show up. And as soon as they all do, as soon as they all start coming out, and I see Ben, I yelled "We love you, Ben!" Just because I don't want to say "Oh, I'm glad you're staying, Ben," or something along those lines. I just wanted him to know that we appreciate him, we want him to stay, but if he feels the need to leave for whatever reason, because we know he has a lot of personal stuff going on in his life right now. If he feels the need to leave, he can. It would suck, but, we would have to deal with it. But the fact that he came out and said that he still wants to stay, at least for me, is really comforting. Because he is, I think, our best interpretation of Batman on the big screen. Because he embodies what Batman, I think, is supposed to be from the comics. And Ben does that beautifully. And I'm so happy he's staying.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad that was one of the first things they addressed at the panel. And then they just got it out of the way, because I feel like Warner Brothers in the past I'm not saying they have to address every single rumor and report going on about the DCEU, but sometimes it's we would like a little bit of certainty as to what's going on.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just hearing that was really comforting, and that was awesome. And then of course, to go on to the next thing in the panel, they announced some official movies that are in development right now. So as of right now, they're officially in development on The Batman, Batgirl,
Yay.
Justice League Dark. They officially announced Wonder Woman 2. And probably one of the biggest ones to come out was that they announced Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Didn't they announce a Shazam director too?
Oh yeah, that too. David F. Sandberg, who directed Lights Out last year, who his new movie Annabelle Creations comes out in a little bit. He came out and said he's confirmed that he's directing Shazam, which I think is pretty cool, because I really loved Lights Out. I think that was one of the best horror movies of last year. And because that movie, to me, much like because James Wan kind of helped get that movie going. And it's kind of cool to have those two guys in the DC family. And watching Lights Out, that movie could have been so cookie cutter in terms of a horror movie, but to me, what drew me into that movie was the story and the characters, and it was about a family kind of trying to piece things together, and there's so much more to that story, and he made it that way. And if you could bring that kind of sensibility to the Shazam character, granted it's a horror movie compared to a little boy transforming into like a Superman kind of character, but if you could bring those emotional kinds of sensibilities that he brought in Lights Out, I think we're in for a really great Shazam movie.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So for me, like that, I mean, I know they've been like there's been rumors and talks about like him directing, so like him being announced isn't necessarily shocking, but it is nice to know that we finally have a director after all this time, because like The Rock's been like talking about that movie for like a really long time, and now comes out The Rock isn't even going to be in that movie.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Like
that is.
Yeah, then they're still trying to do that Black Adam solo movie, which, hey, I love The Rock, and Black Adam's a cool character, but I don't, like, of all the DCEU movies, I'm not sure if I would want a standalone Black Adam movie. I don't know, that's just me.
Well, it would be interesting to see, like, you know, for the first time, a superhero movie where the main character is an anti-hero. It might be, they might explore some interesting sides of this character, because he's not like absolutely evil or absolutely good. He just has his reasons to act the way he is.
Yeah.
And it might be interesting to see, but I actually surprised why he won't be in Shazam movie. Like,
yeah, so who's gonna be the villain?
Who's gonna be the villain?
Like I can understand like setting him up in Shazam, and then from there going, oh, if you like Shazam, here's the Black Adam standalone movie. Mm-hmm. But they're not even doing that. They're not gonna have him in the movie, and then they're gonna have his own standalone movie, and that's a little confusing because it's like they've been talking about for years that The Rock is gonna play Black Adam in Shazam, and now they finally get a director, and oh, The Rock's not playing him in the movie. I'm like, okay, that's odd. Because that we've been telling them for the last like 5 years.
Is that there's got to be some kind of storyline that they're working on where it just doesn't fall into place, you know. But I admit, I'm not exactly sure what that is. But
yeah,
like there has to be a reason for that. I don't think that would be an arbitrary choice that they just throw out and be like, okay, we're not gonna do it that way. But I don't know what they're up to.
Yeah.
I get the feeling it's one of those things after we see the movies, you go, oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, they had to do it that way if they wanted the story to be like this. But I honestly can't figure out what that would be right now.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm still excited for the Shazam movie nonetheless, just because that's been like, especially after watching like reading like the new 52 run of Shazam that they included in the back pages of Justice League in the new 52, and how like Jeff Johns kind of tackled his modern origin story. I'm looking forward to it, and especially because like Shazam is like one of those like most like light-hearted characters, like where like he does share certain characteristics with Superman, but at the same time, I do think that like he's a character who I think will be able to stand on his own, and I think that people will really resonate with, because especially because little kids can resonate with him, like cause, like every little kid wants to grow up and be a superhero, or most little kids, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think also one big thing that I think. Well, at least you guys probably had the chance to talk about before we started recording. I had a bunch of technical issues, so I couldn't join in on the conversation, but Flashpoint. I know that's been a big topic. Other than the Justice League trailer and Ben Affleck, that's probably one of the biggest topics to come out of DC and Comic-Con.
Yep.
For me, Flashpoint is one of my favorite stories in DC, and I've been, ever since they announced Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne, I've been wanting to see him as Thomas Wayne Batman in a Flashpoint story. But I didn't think...
me too.
I didn't think we were going to get one this soon, though. And one thing that sucks is that people seem to think that they're going to use this opportunity to be like, oh, DC can finally reboot and forget all those shitty movies that they made. And I'm like, no.
You guys do realize it's one of the most popular things for DC, so it has nothing to do with that.
I know, and...
story is about Barry realizing that was an incorrect choice, and that he has to go back and undo it. I mean, like, I don't think the WB now is like, okay, sweet, let's start with a clean slate, maybe, you know?
Yeah, especially after they literally just started, like...
It makes me laugh. People are going straight to this, and it's like, so basically that's just your fondest fantasy, because you keep trying to come up with, you know, ways for them to do this, but that's not what they're doing. Just go ahead and sit down and accept it, okay?
I know. And especially, like, to compare, like, this franchise to, like, X-Men's franchise. Like, X-Men, they had that Days of Future Past storyline where they kind of rebooted their timeline, but that was like 14 years after they started, you know? So they had, and plus, I mean, they had a couple of films in a row where they weren't critically well received or fans didn't really enjoy them. But even then, like, it's not like they're saying, oh, screw the rest. Like, obviously, those movies are still there. The movies aren't going anywhere. X-Men 3 and X-Men Origins, the movies that people hate, are still there. But story-wise, they gave it a little more creative freedom. But, like, with I think with Justice, or with Flashpoint, they might do, like, a soft reboot. Like, they might, like, change certain things. But I don't think it's going to be as drastic of a reboot as people are thinking. Because, like, Warner Brothers is showing that they're not willing to just because people didn't like Batman vs. Superman, they're not willing to just act like it didn't happen. You know, like
and I'm glad. That's great that they're standing their ground.
Agreed. I mean, we all know how we feel about that movie, and you know, but I would be truly annoyed if they went ahead and just tried to cover that up and move on. You know, and that's not what they're doing. Everything that we're seeing about Justice League predicates on the notion that Superman left a lasting impression and that his loss is felt, you know, and that is exactly what Batman v Superman was building up to. So this is gonna be awesome. Okay, I just want to say though, for Flashpoint, like, I gotta say, I didn't know him at all. Like, they cast Ezra Miller and I'm like, okay, I don't know who that is, and you know, and I saw him in interviews. It was like, oh, he's cute, and okay, that's cool. And then last November I watched Fantastic Beasts, and I was like, oh, that's Ezra Miller. What the heck, man? That guy's good. He did a really nice job with that role, and it was really, I don't know, his physicality is really good. He did an excellent job with Credence. He was very, very moving, and I thought, okay, this guy could truly do the Flash. And then we started getting, you know, clips of him and bits of him and, you know, everything, and I'm like, holy crap. I
love him already.
I know, me too. So I'm totally there for a Flashpoint because I think, in spite of the fact that, you know, Barry is he's adorable and funny and really cute in Justice League, stuff like that, he's got that darker side, and I think that Ezra can balance that really well. I think that he can handle a heavy plot line like Flashpoint.
Oh,
and be able to pull it off well. And I really am actually looking forward to that because I think it could be really amazing. And he is an actor I have full confidence in them giving something like that too with that kind of weight. So I'm really excited. And I admit, I'm like, just make sure you do a better job than the Flash.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I love
like,
that show, but I was like, that's all we got.
That was a big
very
disappointment for me.
And so I really want it to be an awesome Flashpoint.
Yeah,
well
like,
done. That's what
I'd
like to see.
I think one of the problems of the Flash TV show, and I'm not saying like this was a bad thing, but like they can't adapt that storyline because they can't really use Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Batman, some of the biggest players in that story.
From a different angle, and that's okay. I think I was just sad that
they didn't adapt it properly. Even they could have changed. Like, here's like I have this whole like idea for what they could have done, and maybe like instead of like having, you know, Thomas Wayne Batman, you had Oliver Queen's dad be Green Arrow, or you could have had like instead of Superman, it could have been Firestorm, or if you couldn't use, you know, like Wonder Woman and Atlantis fighting, you could have used like, I don't know, like Vandal Savage and his army and someone else. You know, you could have had these characters and stories that have been established in the CW TV universe, and they really underplayed the importance of Flashpoint, and it became this thing where like Wally gets hurt, and then Barry was like, "Oh, that's it. I ruined the timeline," and then that's it.
I think that was my biggest frustrator is that, and I understand the regular Flashpoint storyline and how everybody is there and everything's different and the world is bad, you know, and I totally get that. But even if they couldn't do that, even if they couldn't pull in all those other characters from other shows or something like that and meld it together because it's like the season premiere and they don't have time to put that together, that's fair. But I agree. That's what I was missing is I wanted it to have weight.
Yeah,
exactly. It
like
needed
the
to have
stakes
weight, and I'm going to sound like a real scumbag saying this. I'm so sorry, and I think I jaded myself way before I ever saw the episode, and this was my bad. But I did it in season 1, so I didn't realize that it was going to matter. But I wrote a story about this, and it didn't like it didn't have any of the other characters, all the other DC people and stuff like that, because I didn't really know much about them, so I went with just the basis of the show.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I blew up the entire city to make it worth it for him to go back and change this. And so watching the episode, it kind of bothered me a lot that it was like, oh, Wally's hurt, and he's not even dead, and he's not even dying, and he's not even, like, you know, crippled for life, you know, for sure. They don't know anything yet. Suddenly he's like, holy crap, I gotta fix it. And I was like, what? You know,
yeah,
so
and
that really bothered me. I didn't feel like there was enough weight given to it for him to reverse that decision. And I love Wally, so it's not Wally. It's simply the fact that it didn't, you know, it didn't carry enough weight. You know, you're weighing two people versus one. You know, it's not. I don't know. I felt like they needed to give it more consequence for him to decide that this was a bad idea.
And Reverse Flash
and then
played
I admit
such
I
little,
really had a bad taste in my mouth when they had him save her. And then a second later, he disappears, and then suddenly the bad guy's back and kills her. I'm like, wow, could you put Nora through the ringer anymore? Could you possibly make her death this any more horrific? Like, that really, really bothered me. Like, so her last moments instead weren't saying goodbye to her son, who's now grown, and saying goodbye to her, or being saved by him.
That's gone.
It was, you're good, everything's fine. No, it's not, you're gonna die. That was it left a very bad taste in my mouth, and I was like, no, you just totally screwed Nora over, like, hardcore. I couldn't do it. So yeah, it didn't work well. So I'm excited to see a full-blown,
me too,
you know, DCEU version, a full movie about it. I'm here for this. So
yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's like, because people always talk about how dark and gritty the DC movies are. Flashpoint is one of the darkest storylines DC has ever done.
Yeah.
Like, even if you watch the animated movie, that movie is so dark, and like, I wouldn't even.
I love that movie.
At the time, oh god, that's one of my favorite DC animated movies ever. Like, that they adapted that so well, and like, of course, they didn't include every character that I would have wanted. Like, Enchantress's role was completely erased in that in the animated adaptation, but they still got pretty much every, like, emotional beat that, like, the graphic novel had. And I just, if anyone were going to adapt this, I know he's still dealing with Autumn and everything. If they came out and said Zach's directing Flashpoint, first of all, that would piss haters off even more, which I would love.
It was like.
But also and people have brought this up, like, everyone's like, oh, playing about this being a Zack Snyder universe. As Zack Snyder came in and rebooted his universe into another new Zack Snyder movie universe. Like, that, I think that would be fantastic.
That would be the ultimate irony, and I would laugh, you know, but I guess I'm kind of proud of my film franchise that I adore so much, because they take so much hate for the choices that they're making, and yet they still don't seem to be like, okay, you're right, we should fix it. Every time something comes out, like even Justice League, everybody's like, oh, good, it's gonna, you know, they've got jokes in there, it's gonna be funny, it's gonna be light, and I'm like, it is, but, you know, and this was always the plan, but then it's like, okay, so maybe this is their chance to course correct and fix it, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do the darkest story ever for The Flash, because, you know, you've already labeled us grim and dark and hopeless, and we might as well just own that. So here you go.
I love that. Laugh in the haters' face.
I'm just kind of proud of my children. I'm like, well done, children, well done. You know, they're like, you know, we're just not going to change
not giving
what we're
into
doing.
pressure.
We have a plan, and this is what we want to do, and we're going to stick to it. And I really appreciate that, because there are those of us out there who really, really, really appreciate it. And I would feel so let down if they went ahead and went, oh yeah, okay, the money is worth everything, and we got to have the accolades, so we'll just give you empty stuff to make you happy. You know, I would feel so betrayed. So I'm proud of them.
Me too. And like,
regarding Flashpoint, honestly, I think there couldn't be a more perfect story for the Flash solo movie. Because Flashpoint literally has everything there is about Flash. It has his main villain, Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, and it has time travel, lots of Speed Force, and the lessons that come with such power that you can't screw up with destiny. Some things they have to happen the way they are in order for in order to lead to certain better things, possible better things in future. Like, yes, his mother died, but it turned him into a person, a superhero that he present. And I just think this is going to be a very good story for the Flash.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
like in Justice League, you see that he's this comedic relief character most of the time. But I think Flashpoint will prove everyone that Flash might be just as serious as everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, granted, the one thing I can say is, like, I am surprised that they're doing the Flashpoint storyline this early on, but at the same time, they haven't announced a release date, so as far as we know, it could be, like, they do this story in, like, 3 years. So by that point, that's 2020, that's 7 years into the universe being built, and I think that's a fair time to kind of give, maybe not give, like, a full reboot, but to kind of, like, reestablish where things are going to go moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited, especially because for me, I haven't seen Fantastic Beasts. Unfortunately, I've been wanting to. I just never got around to seeing it.
It's so good.
I know.
You should see it.
Yeah, and I worked at a movie theater when it was out, and I still didn't see it, and I could have seen it for free.
Well,
I know.
Happens.
But the one movie of Ezra's that I have seen, which I absolutely love, is one of my favorite movies of all time, is Perks of Being a Wallflower. And
I have not seen that.
His performance, for me, that, like, my sister took me to see that. Like, I would say it was like a year and a half after my mom passed away. In that movie, it's kind of like a high school coming of age kind of story. But it's about this kid in Logan Lerman who's dealing with depression and, like, kind of like suicidal tendencies and being an outcast. And he finds this group of people who are outcasts and they're dealing with their own inner demons. And then they kind of come together and they accept him as part of the group, and they're dealing with their own stuff and kind of like learning who they are and dealing with the emotions of high school and just trying to live, but also dealing with these mental issues. And for me, that resonated with me so much when I was that age. And Ezra in that movie was fantastic because he played this, like, openly gay character in this movie, and he had some of the best emotional parts of the movie because, like, he has this relationship with one of the jocks and they have to keep it a secret, and then it comes out, and then, like, his jock boyfriend, like, breaks up with him and, like, fights him, and there's so many dramatic moments in that movie that Ezra handled so well. That's why when I first heard that he was going to play the Flash, I'm like, it wouldn't have been my first choice, but he's an excellent choice for the role, and especially seeing from what we've seen in the trailers and stuff, I think he's going to be a great interpretation of Barry Allen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Totally agreed. This is gonna be fun. So.
Yeah, I'm excited. And then, of course, go ahead.
What I'm excited about is that if after Flashpoint nothing changes entirely for DCEU, this way they're establishing and saying to everyone that no, we love our universe the way it is, and even if we had an opportunity to reboot everything, we would not do that.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, and then again, it's hard to know where they're gonna go with that because obviously the Flashpoint created the New 52 in the comics, so it could be a big reboot. I hope that it's not. They can change some things. Like if you look at, like, the way X-Men Days of Future Past rebooted their timeline, they still kept a lot of what was already there. They just gave them more creative freedom and brought back characters that they had previously killed off. So that way they can create more stories in that universe without having to worry about the movies that came before. In that aspect.
DC Rebirth established that the New 52 happened not because of the Flash and Flashpoint, but it was all Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. But like, you know what I mean? Like in that, like at the time, that was what created that universe. You know, like Barry going back in time did have repercussions because when he came back, obviously that universe was a hell of a lot different than when he left. You know, so...
Well, I just hope that DC Rebirth saying that Flashpoint wasn't the reason, it's like their way to admit that it was a bad idea to do this reboot because they kind of changed a lot of things, especially Superman. They, like, took all of his history away and started from scratch, which wasn't to my liking.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad that they admitted that Flashpoint it's not a reason for this reboot anymore, and I hope they will do the same with DCEU. Like Flashpoint will not reboot anything, just tell an emotional story for everything.
Yeah, I get what you mean too. And one thing that's kind of funny too is that like now we know that like Dr. Manhattan was ultimately responsible for this new current DC universe in the comics, and in the DCEU, the actor who plays Dr. Manhattan is Barry Allen's dad.
Yeah, that's great.
So I think that's pretty funny, and I'm looking forward to Billy Crudup too, because we know like that bit of the storyline is going to have somewhat of an important, maybe not a huge role, but it's going to have a role in Justice League. So I'm curious to see how they handle that. Yeah, so I'm excited for Flashpoint and what they do with it, and again, I hope they don't do a whole like full reboot thing, but I'm just excited for the story because Flashpoint is one of my favorite DC storylines of all time, and I'm just excited to see it adapted on the big screen and not poorly like on the Flash TV show.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah,
like, they worked within their
means
what they were restricted into, and they decided to go a different direction and just have it affect the rest of the season. But I do agree that it just kind of left me underwhelmed. I already,
because
put on my problem with this.
like,
and then as the continual season went, it was like, just beat him some more with that guilt brush, beat him.
I know, so that's why like ultimately
it got so old. I was like,
oh god, I know. Like this season of the Flash, like there's a lot of stuff I liked about the season of the Flash, but the Flashpoint storyline, ultimately by the end of the season, I feel like it really didn't matter because it like. What happened when Barry came back is Cisco's brother was killed, like Iris and Joe's relationship was broken, but then they fixed that like an episode later.
Yeah.
Granted, Cisco was upset with Barry for a good while, but even then, by the end of the season, everything is kind of back to normal, so nothing all that different happened, like the stakes weren't there, like nothing like. Maybe you can count. In Arrow, John Diggle's daughter is now a son, but that's not like universe changing. Like
in some ways, that ticked me off even more. Though I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Sarah was adorable. You can't replace children like that. Children are not interchangeable. I was ticked. So and no offense to his son. He's adorable too. But it was what? I just spent 2 seasons with what? So I don't know. I have issues.
Yeah, and especially because a lot of people up until that point assumed, because that was after they had announced that Supergirl was coming to the CW from CBS, people were thinking, so that's how they're going to bring in Supergirl and they're going to combine the two universes. And everyone's like, oh, cool, awesome. That didn't happen. Because then you could have had, like, if they had done that, then you could have had Superman be more of a part of these crossovers and stuff. Granted, I hate that. I hate that version of Superman, but you could have done more with that character if you combined the two. I don't mean to make this a whole criticism of the Flash TV show in that universe, but
I'm sorry I started it, but I was writing for TV. And challenging, and I admit the more TV I watch and the more I'm underwhelmed with so much stuff, and not just the Flash, plenty of TV, I found this the year of TV disappointment in a lot of ways. I realized I do not want to write for television. That looks way too difficult, and it's too hard trying to balance all these balls and juggle all these things, and no. So you're right,
It's more restricted when you do TV.
Yes, it's really hard, and it's just like, so
anyway, a part of me almost wishes that like DC was able to move these shows from the CW to like a Netflix or a streaming service where they had more creative freedom and didn't have to adhere to these like CW guidelines of like all these like this villain of the week all the time and like all these stories that ultimately don't matter to the storyline of the season. Because if you look at show like I hate to compare Marvel to DC, but like when you have a show like Daredevil on Netflix that has a strict 13 episodes, hardly any villains of the week, there's a clear storyline throughout the entire season that's focused and clear, there's no weird sidetracking going on, that's great. But when you have a show on a big network like the CW where it has to have 22, 23 episodes, the story can get so convoluted to the point by the time you get to the end of the season, does the story really matter?
it falls apart, and that's one of my main complaints with a lot of the stuff that I happen to be watching and have decided not to watch anymore is that it's simply they cannot sustain that storyline over 22, 23 episodes. It's almost impossible, and it does fall apart. Or it does that weird herky-jerk thing where they like start it and then they put it on the back burner for a while because they're not ready to move on to the next part, and you're like, what's the villain doing? Just chilling out, watching TV, got his feet up. It's not time yet. And then they start up again, and you're like, okay, where's he been? Okay. And then you're right. By the end, it just falls apart. And so, yeah, this is why I'm going, wow, I don't want to write for TV, because I agree. I think having it reduced episode and being able to go at it with more streamline and just do it that way and focus just on that might actually help. But I will also take a villain of the week all day long over a very long convoluted storyline that falls apart and has me so annoyed by the end of the season I don't even care what happens. So there's that.
Needless to say, I think our displeasure of how Flashpoint was previously adapted makes us more excited for a proper film adaptation of the storyline.
Yeah, where they really have a good amount of time. That is really the thing they're focusing on. I agree. It's very exciting.
Obviously, they can do it because they have all the characters already. So.
Exactly.
I'm kind of excited about that. Plus, I'm like, hey, look, maybe they can bring in people and they won't have to shave their mustache off. So,
I was waiting for someone to throw that in there. Oh, God. No. God. That whole story is hilarious, I feel like.
What?
Just can't win, they just can't win. Henry can't win. He's like, for real.
I know, that's... Oh, God. Oh, boy.
I don't know.
Okay, so I think with that being said, I think now it's time to get to, our main course of the podcast, if you will.
Meat, baby.
Yeah. So finally, we're probably gonna try to break down as much of the trailer as we can, and this probably gonna be the remainder of the podcast. So I kind of have my trailer or the trailer kind of on cue for me. If you guys want to break down like from start to finish what we see in the trailer.
Alright, okay. I'm gonna pull it up too because
I'm rubbing my hands.
All right, and I have mine muted, so we can kind of go by like shot for shot if you guys want.
Okay.
She's like, I'm ready, let's do it.
I'm like, this chat won't take too long. We're only discussing the trailer. It'll be like an hour. I'm like, they look at me and they're like,
we can talk about
I know.
Oh, God, I know. It's funny because, ever since, because I posted my, Comic-Con recap video on my YouTube channel the other day, and people were already like, I can't wait till you guys have, your 6-hour podcast talking about the trailer.
I'm really glad that they understand how we function. That will help with them not being disappointed and frustrated.
God, I know.
Some of us have to work.
I know, exactly.
In chunks, guys, see, and I know, Gene was like, hey, do you mind if I come in late? Not at all, because, we'll still be here.
I know.
12 hours, doesn't matter.
I know. So if at any point you notice her needing to come in, you guys let us know so we can make sure she's in and caught up with what we're doing. Okay, so I have mine paused right at the beginning with that first shot of Commissioner Gordon about to light up the bat signal.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm ready.
I'm right here too. I've got the trailer right here.
I'm at 0-0.
Okay, so. Okay, now we don't need to do exactly second for second, shot for shot,
okay.
but I can go through the trailer from start to finish to talk about the things we want to see. So obviously this isn't necessarily the meat in the trailer or anything. This is kind of a little tease as to what you're kind of gonna see in this trailer.
Yes, which
The first few seconds.
I love that they made it Commissioner Gordon, turning on the signal and big announcement, and now presenting,
The Justice League.
All right, so I'm ready to go and start looking.
Yeah.
Okay, God. And I love how big the new bat signal is too.
Oh, I do too. I love it. It's great.
After Superman breaks your other one with you,
I know.
You gotta make a big one.
Yeah.
You have to get a new one.
All right. And I love how I'm about 3 seconds in when they show the shot of of Cyborg and it with his weaponry.
Yes.
I'll admit, when I saw the first trailer last year and the first image of him, I'm like, okay, he's a little at the time I was like, okay, he's a little CGI for my taste, but I think they've really touched up the CGI a lot in the last year. So now I really like his look. I've grown used to it, and I just like.
Yeah.
That's the kind of Cyborg maybe I would have liked to see a little more like practicality in his suit, but I really like how his suit looks.
Yep.
I do too.
Yeah, Cyborg got really polished.
Yep.
After all this time.
And, that is one thing that Zach excels at is, doing all the fine touches and really, really, really making sure that things kind of, I don't know, he's very visual.
He really is.
Visual.
Really is.
And so, yeah, but at the same time, like, for a character like Cyborg, I'm like, okay, I agree, like, I don't know, in the old days, they could have just made him a metal suit, they could have done all sorts of things, but trying to move in that,
it would have been, it would have been difficult, I'll admit,
weird, plus they'd have had to edit out the clankety clank every time the poor thing walked, and,
that's true.
So, I'm kind of okay with this, and the way they gelled it together so well.
And the colors,
really
too, the way the colors, like the reds and the blues pop out in his armor,
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I will say, like, there is a difference between an actor very obviously wearing a suit to look like his body has been replaced with mechanics and an actor CGI'd to make it look like his body was really gone and his new one is not human. You know, and so
maybe that's also part of why like some people have bought, because it doesn't look like a human body. And in the past, you see Cyborg's human body here and there in his armor, but in here, other than his face, everything else is biomechanical. It's all machine. So the only thing that's really left of him that's actually human is like his head and his heart, and that's
his chest cavity. So agreed. And I think in the end it's just kind of interpretation of, okay, how much of Cyborg's body was actually destroyed, how much of it was actually lost, and it's possible in other storylines that they didn't go quite that far, and that's okay. But this is actually, I don't know, I find it interesting, and maybe it's because I have like zip experience with Cyborg before now, so maybe it's easier for me to accept, and that's okay if that's the case. But I don't know, I find it fascinating, and I think they've done a really good job with him, and so I just kind of, I really need to see this movie. Right now.
To say the least.
So, but
now.
I'm totally there for Cyborg, and he just, everything about him, I'm kind of glad they're giving us more, because at first, like, we just caught some silent shots of him, and I'm like, okay, but I didn't really get much of a who Cyborg's about, and then the next one when they give us just a straight up deadpan, you should probably move, I'm like, I like this kid already.
I know, me too.
And now I'm like, oh my. Well, I just love this guy. If he needs cookies,
and especially like Ray, like in terms of looks, Ray I think is probably one of the best actors that could have gotten to play Cyborg. Because if you look at like even like Teen Titans, his voice sounds a lot like the voice actor from Teen Titans.
That's what I was thinking too.
Like,
and I was like, oh my god, he's perfect.
He's and like looks wise, he's like he's like literally the perfect choice for Cyborg. Like.
Yay.
And like, I don't know if you guys saw, like, when the cast arrived at the DC booth, like, Ray got, like, pumped everyone up, and he's like, Comic-Con, thank you for living your lives with us. And he's like, thank you for letting us live our lives with you. And I'm like, yes, Ray.
I was like, that's such a big thing to do.
He's a hype man.
Character.
He is such.
And we haven't even seen the movie yet.
Oh god, I know. He's like the biggest, like. He's the biggest dork on social media too, with his Borg life. Like he's fantastic.
He's great. I love him.
I know, me too. And one thing too. Go ahead.
DCEU never miscasts people.
Oh yeah.
No, they're great at casting their characters. That's what I love about it.
Like even with like, I've had my problem with the Suicide Squad, but the cast is not the problem. Like no one in.
No.
Like. Maybe I wish Enchantress was handled a little better, but Cara Delevingne I think is a great actress. I just think she probably she could have used some better written material, but I think she did what she was supposed to do in that movie. So whether you love it or hate it, she did her job, and I think performance-wise, was it a little over the top at times? Yeah, sure, but that's more or less. Enchantress isn't exactly the most emotionally deep characters as it is,
Yeah.
But for me, I just.
The over-the-top quality just kind of seems to come with the territory for some of these characters.
It's very, very true. Very true. Yes.
Regarding Cyborg, to be honest, people complaining about that he's not a practical special effects. I mean, you can't do justice to a character like Cyborg using practical special effects. He has to be all CGI. Otherwise, he would be something like RoboCop from the
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like that's not what they're going for.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and I have to, and again, like, I think a lot of this comes from because there's been so many interpretations of Cyborg in the comics and in animation that, like, there's been so many different looks to him that a lot of them have included that human element. And I think it's bothersome to people when you take away that human element, they're disturbed, and I think that's kind of the point because Cyborg lost a lot of his humanity. Like, the only part of him that's still there is his heart and his mind, and that's what makes him.
And I remember running into that somewhere where somebody said that is his, as a character, that is one of his biggest struggles, is maintaining his humanity in the face of being so much of a machine. So I agree, that makes sense that, like, he needs to be almost all machine. Otherwise, why would he bothered if he had a couple extra limbs that were mechanical, but the rest of him was human? You know, you don't really feel like you lost your humanity as much. But here, he really is going to, because he's lost so much of what he would consider human. And so that's a really interesting struggle to me. That's an interesting storyline. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And this is where Superman comes into play regarding Cyborg. Like, Superman is an alien who embraced humanity more than any human possibly.
Yeah. He considers himself human, you know.
Yeah, that way he can inspire Cyborg to embrace his humanity. As, like, what makes you human is not what are you, but your choices is what.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yep.
Yeah, and one thing too, like when people complain about the CGI, like I think that, like, again, like it's been a year since we first looked at him, and the CGI has been touched on a lot. And looking at Cyborg now, like I kind of compare it to how like General Zod's armor looked in Man of Steel. Like that was all CGI, and when you look at the movie, it's almost like flawless. It looks like a practical suit if you look at it.
Yeah, it looks like he's wearing it.
Yeah, so that's why, like, now I'm at a point where we're used to it, and it's been touched up. Like Cyborg, it looks like a full on, like it looks like mechanical armor. Like it doesn't like look as nearly as CGI as when I first saw it.
Yep. And I think when we first saw it, like that was straight up right after they were almost it was like perfectly post. They were just done filming and they had the basic effects in there. And you're right, they've had a year to tinker with it, to get the footage edited and stuff like that, and to really mess with it until they're happy with it. And so it just shows you all the difference, all the work that goes into a film even after they're done shooting it. So
So I'm excited to see this interpretation of Cyborg, and
totally excited.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, the fact that we've already spent like good 5 minutes just on one quick shot of Cyborg.
Well, look, our 6 hour,
Yeah, 6 hours sounding more and more realistic.
On their way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then of course you get like half shots of like Wonder Woman, and the next shots Aquaman, Flash, and I love the shot of Batman looking up at the bat signal, because we haven't we got a little bit of that in Batman vs Superman, but that was because he turned on the signal. We haven't got a shot of him, like Gordon turning on the signal and Batman looking up and needing to go to it.
Yes, I agree. This is really exciting because we get to see a lot of the really basic, good, awesome, Batman lore, so to speak.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to meet Gordon last time, so I'm so excited.
Me too.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. And I love how, like, of all the before we get to that Justice League exclusive trailer thing, like, the longest shot we get is of Batman, and because it's such an iconic shot. Like, it really is.
Yes, it's beautiful, too.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the way that they've made the clouds and the symbol and stuff like that, it's not just a straight up, perfectly outlined, beautiful symbol in the sky, which unfortunately is not something I think we'd ever get if we actually tried this in real life.
Oh, yeah, I know.
True.
I mean, we would wanna, but it just wouldn't, and so I love how they made it kind of misty and a little bit cloudy, and you can see that Gotham is in the middle of kind of a, I don't want to say rainstorm, but it's that misty,
like it's always like bad weather, cloudy.
Yeah, that's just cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I love how like when the trailer like officially starts, it opens up with this action sequence that like when you first look at it, is it kind of has like a Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises kind of vibe to it,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, whoa.
The guy, the guy's walking up to the metal detector with the briefcase. Everyone's being rounded up. All the kids look frightened, and then and busts through Wonder Woman through the doors.
That was like the coolest thing ever.
And if she gets shot at and then she just immediately dodges it, she's like, nope, I've already seen someone get shot with that. Not gonna happen to me.
Yeah, I don't think so. Oh, it's so cool. And I'm actually really excited. Like, somebody brought it up, and it doesn't have to be this way at all. But somebody was like, okay, so what if the last shot of Wonder Woman, her leaping off the tower and stuff like that, is the first shot of this? And I'm like, that would be cool. And yet at the same time, it doesn't have to be, because right here, her blowing through those doors, bursting in, big as life, is totally Wonder Woman, has revealed herself to man, and she has made herself a presence, which she hadn't done before. Like, even if she was helping, she was doing it more around the background and stuff like that. Doesn't seem like she was really, nobody was talking about Wonder Woman. She wasn't a thing. And Superman was the first one who did that, and look at all the crap that came down on him. But see, he's inspired other people to go, okay, and she's like, nope, I am here. I am here blowing through your doors, turning them into splinters, kicking your butt. I am so here. And that is just really exciting to me.
Yeah.
So, a lot of superheroes have kind of made their presence known with this, and that's just exciting. So I love that they give her that moment. Plus, she's awesome.
Yeah. And I love how that moment ends with her back at her job. I'm like, oh, what'd you do this weekend, Diana? She's like, oh, nothing interesting.
Nothing interesting.
That's like every superhero film ever, but we always love to see it. We're like, because it's so nice to see, like, not much, kick some butt, save some kids. It's all good, it's nice to see them just
normal stuff.
Yeah. And I love how, one of the following shots, we get that look at the cityscape, and in the background you see that banner with Superman's symbol on it, because they're talking about the world still being in mourning after the death of Superman. And first of all, that's a beautiful shot, and it's hard to tell. I don't know about you guys. It's really hard for me to tell what city that is, if that's Metropolis or London, or I feel like because look at that bridge, and that looks like an old timey kind of bridge. It kind of looks like something you'd see in London, but also Okay,
wait. Sorry, I've got it frozen. That's the tower right off to the left. See that building with the four little fires coming out of it that looks older than everything else around it? Okay, so that's London.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome!
Oh, wow.
That means that it is worldwide mourning and not just Metropolis.
Okay. Yeah, and I figured as much, but I wasn't entirely sure.
I wasn't either. I saw it and was like, cool, and I remember wondering, I wonder what city that is, but I didn't spend much time looking at it. Now that we're here pausing, I'm like, wait. Know that place. So okay. Awesome. I appreciate that though.
Yeah, me too.
That makes me
It's kind of funny that this shot is made in London because Henry Cavill is a British actor.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Awesome.
Though I don't think he's directly from London, but it's kind of cool that they're able to do that, and also like you said, make it feel worldwide, that it's not just based solely in Metropolis.
Yes, I appreciate that emphasis because it needs to be made. We've gone past just Gotham and Metropolis now. We moved past that right at the end of Batman v Superman, when Batman realized, through Lex's words, that something big was coming. And this involves the whole world now. We can't afford to just separate into cities and nations and fight amongst ourselves. So I appreciate the worldwide emphasis.
Yeah, I love that.
Batman v Superman had this montage that showed how Superman was helping all around the world. He was saving some Russian rocket that blew up. Then he was saving people from the water.
Yep. The girl was in Mexico, at the fire. And I so appreciate that because I remember somewhere just the other day, I remember seeing somebody complain, I just wish he wasn't so much about the U.S. And I was like, what?
Did you see Batman versus Superman?
I'm totally sure what's going on and what movie you've been watching, and it's not like he doesn't live there and, definitely help out there and make his city, his home city is, smack dab in the U.S. That's fair, but lots of the stuff he's been doing, even the newspaper articles, if you spend time perusing them behind, in Batman v Superman when they pan the large collection, it's very clear he's been going around the world and doing a lot of stuff. It's not just the U.S. He's helping. Not just a U.S. hero. He's a worldwide hero. So,
And this is what I like about Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman. Even though when they were announcing this movie, they used a quote from Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, this movie will be based on this story, but it turns out that it was even better than the source material.
Yep.
Bernard Returns Superman is like he's a pawn of a government. He says what he's told to do, like he lost his free will, and at the end of Man of Steel, he pretty much said that even though I'm American, I was raised in Kansas, I'm willing to help only on my terms. And this is exactly what he was doing in Batman v Superman. He was helping wherever he could help, and I guess this is why he was so upset listening to the news in his apartment. Like, I'm trying to help all around the world, and the only thing that you're doing is complaining about politics, economy, like what the hell?
We as humans are so limited, and it honestly, I think it accurately depicts what would happen if we had a figure like this in our world. Mm-hmm. It's not just, wow, what a great guy going around helping us, and wherever, in any world, stuff like that is totally cool. It's, wait, no, look at all that power. I need to be in charge of that power. My nation needs to be in charge of that power. No, you can't be helping them, because then, look at the political, statements you just made with that. You support them, and that means you're not supporting us. It's us, it's all or nothing. We cannot seem to get past that segregation. We all constantly divide ourselves off from other humans and make ourselves, quote, different somehow, when in the end we're all humans, and that's all he sees, is that we're all humans, and if you need help, he'll go help. It doesn't matter where they are. And I can see that was actually a large factor in why the world was in such unrest about the Superman. It's because he is this big, powerful force, and he refuses to be at the beck and call, or to work with just one group. It's just not that way.
Yeah.
I like how the last line during this montage, it pretty much sums up everything about Superman. That we people, we are trying to look at him like he's some sort of a god, a messiah figure, but at the end of the day, he might be just a guy who is trying to do the right thing. And that's what he is.
Yep.
Yeah, and then that's cool. And then if you go to the next shot in the trailer, when you see a figure, someone holding an umbrella, looking at the still broken remains of what was the Superman monument.
That's what we were thinking.
That's what we're all the consensus. I think it's got to be Lois.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not, but it sure looks like it could be her. The frame is hard to see, but it looks like red hair off to the side, just with a light glints off it. And I think the most striking thing to me is how they left the head there.
I know.
No, that's kind of
disturbing.
It is.
That's disturbing.
But it is nice to see that at least like a lot of those names from obviously the Battle of Metropolis, that a lot of those names on that monument are still there.
Yeah, well, see, if you look off to the right, in the middle, just before the figure under the umbrella, you can see some broken pavement there.
Yeah, from the back,
I'm not totally sure how far post this is. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it just fresh enough that there's still damage and they still haven't cleaned up all the way and that's why the head is still there? Or did they decide to go ahead and leave it as as another monument and make sure that the names were still there? Like, there's a lot it's hard to say.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly how post this is, except they say that the world is still reeling, and so that means it's after, but is it, immediately after? Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it a year? I don't even think it's a year. But, so, yeah, it's interesting but I do agree, it makes the statement it's supposed to make. We all see the head and we go, I don't like that.
You know what's interesting is that we also, just like with Superman, we barely see Lois in both trailers. Like, I just have a feeling that all of the important scenes with her are going to be with Superman as well. So, like, if you show Lois, then you spoil some stuff about Superman. Like, and I also think that this is Lois in this shot with the umbrella, because right after that you see a paper, A World Without Hope, and I think it was written by her.
That's what
would not surprise me at all. Yep. And I do love how just the atmosphere, it makes perfect sense. Everything's rainy, everything's gloomy, everything's, most definitely not sunshine and rainbows. So.
Yeah, so I'm trying to move on to the next shot here. And then you see, of course, like the Daily Planet newspaper with the title of The World Without Hope, and I think like a lot of people talk about how like now it's like Lois without Clark, you know?
Yeah.
Like Clark is the hope and Lois is his world.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
That's very nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice. See, it works on many levels. I like it.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, it does.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then
We're gonna analyze the crap out of this film when it comes out.
oh
here.
god, I know.
Oh my god.
That would be like a full day of commentary if we did.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Too much.
I know. All right. So then, of course, we get the same shot of of Gordon lighting up the bat signal, which is of course awesome. And then you get Batman looking over looking over Metropolis in Heroes Park. And
That is a beautiful.
That was so beautiful.
and then, and they're talking about where is the Gotham Bat, and they're talking about like Luthor in Arkham Asylum and all that stuff. Just
Yep.
I think it's you're right. It's just I think it's from what I remember. They said I think it's a couple of months after the events of Batman vs Superman. So I would still imagine like everything is kind of still being rebuilt slowly, and Batman is still taking his responsibility to kind of like look over Metropolis in Superman's absence.
Well,
Yeah,
and then they're talking about him it said the mass vigilante's been a no-show. That tells me that he stopped his day-to-day kind of vigilante work in Gotham because he's got a bigger thing to worry about. He's got a wider scope now. So he went to ground and is spending all of his time trying to find these other metahumans, trying to get prepared for whatever it is, trying to figure out what it is. Like, all of his focus has gone to that, and he's had to spend less time worrying about just day-to-day crime fighting, which is why they're talking about in the background, too. You hear the news talk about it's a worldwide crime spree or something to that effect.
Yep.
Because, heck, Superman's not there to stop them, and it doesn't seem like the Bat cares, so let's go nuts,
Yeah.
And I find it interesting. He has completely pulled his focus to whatever threat is coming to the world, because that is more important than anything else. But I also find it fascinating. He's looking over Heroes Park, but there's also the scout ship off to the side.
Yep.
And I do have to wonder which one he's actually looking at. Like, he could be brooding over Heroes Park, or he could be getting ready to break into the scout ship and try to find information or anything that could be helpful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and
I can't wait.
I do think that area is going to play a big part in the movie, because in several of the trailers and promotional material, it takes place in and around Heroes Park in the scout ship.
Yep.
So
I love that it's tied together so well like that. Often, even in a trilogy, it's kind of, they go, okay, that's great, and then they just kind of abandon that, like you would never see the scout ship after the first movie. You'd never see Heroes Park. You'd never really care, but they just keep coming with it, and it always comes back to this point, this ship, this park, it means things, and that's really exciting.
Yeah. And then, of course, it goes from that to the next shot of Batman on, like, that skeleton gargoyle thing, brooding as hell.
I love it.
There's my dramatic boy.
Yep.
Bruce. I love it, though. It's such a great shot. It's such a comic book shot. Such a shot.
Yes,
that,
it's amazing.
With my limited comic knowledge, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's like straight out of a comic book, man. That's just cool.
Yep. Yeah, and then I love that little scene between her and Bruce where she's like, they said the Age of Heroes never come again, and then he's the one who says it has to.
Okay, I want this whole conversation because
me
the
too.
trailer before, she said the others, where are they? And he got this funny smile, like he was grateful that she was on board and going with this. That's this conversation, and I want to know where these lines all fall together, because it does seem to me like they're discussing, what to do, what their next step is, and all this kind of thing. And I do think there's a point where she's like, all right, so the others, where are they? And he's like, okay, good. He gets that smile like, all right, good. I've got her, I've got them, maybe we got a shot at this. And I want to see that conversation because I think it's going to be a really nice character moment scene between those two. And I am here for that.
In Batman v Superman, Diana said that, what if others don't want to be found?
Exactly.
And now she's like, okay, where are they? Let's go and find them.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't think that she's been completely resistant, but they just may not have really known what exactly they're getting into or what to do, or I agree, she may want to respect others if they don't want to be found. I don't blame her for that. So I do think that there's a discussion here about, okay, so are we gonna do this or not? It's a big choice. It's not something you jump into lightly, and I kind of want that conversation, so
yeah,
give it
me
to
too. Right. Yeah. Now this next shot coming up, when we see Themyscira again. When I was at Comic-Con and they showed that, everyone went crazy.
Right? That was it. Like,
that was.
That guy next to me, we were watching on a computer. He goes, you know, because he got all excited. I know where that is. You know, we're all like, dude, that's okay.
I know.
We're going to Island, baby. I'm there.
I was really surprised myself. Like, they already showed Themyscira in Justice League, and then later in the trailer you see Hippolyta, and it's like you never left Wonder Woman.
Yep.
Yep. I'm like, oh yeah, we're here again.
Even
like,
though this is well over 100 years later too.
Yeah. Well, and I always assumed that any Amazon activity we got was going to be kind of in a flashback. I didn't even think about the fact that they might have a mother.
Yeah, right.
I didn't even think about the fact that this might be present day, you know. So actually getting to see the island, getting to see Hippolyta, I was like, holy crap, you know. And that's just really exciting. I will take anything I can get having to do with them.
Yeah, and it's funny, like as the island, as the shot zooms in on the island, you see the tower that Diana climbed through to get, you know, the God Killer sword and all that from the movie.
Yep, and that is their fortified fortress where they keep all the big stuff, and so you know that's where that Mother Cube is.
Yep, the Mother Box,
or Mother Box, excuse me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then of course it cuts to the shot of like what appears to be like a boom tube, and then you see Hippolyta again wearing her awesome like battle armor.
Yep. Hello, favorite.
She looks. I'm just happy to see Connie Nielsen back again. Like within, much like with Gal Gadot, just seeing her back to back into DC films. That's awesome.
It's exciting, you know, and it's really, you start to really, really love these characters, and the actors are just so lovely, you know, that it's just like you're just seeing your happy favorites again. It's always exciting to see, yay, you know. So yeah, it's very.
Now,
exciting.
quick question: do you guys think we'll see Diana go back to Themyscira at some, not like permanently, of course, but do you think we'll ever see her go back to maybe speak to her mom about the Mother Box and find out more about Steppenwolf in this movie?
I kind of hope so.
Maybe, yeah.
Just
it'd be nice
we didn't get that in Wonder Woman, and I would dearly love to see her go back. You know, have a discussion with her mom. Her mom, you know, I don't know, might still want her to just come back, and she'll be like, no, you know, but or she might understand at this point. Who knows? But either way, I really want her to go back. I really want her to. Yeah. You're right. We find out more about the plot and stuff like that, but then we get to see her have her first talk with her mom, or the first one we get to see since she left. You know, that's exciting. So I hope for that.
Or maybe it might be the other way around. Like her mother goes into the world of men to find her daughter because after she witnessed that Steppenwolf stole Mother Box, I think all the Amazons should realize that the shit got real.
That would be really cool too. I'd go for that. You're right. I'm good either way.
Because
that would be really cool.
Steppenwolf gathering Mother Boxes is pretty much a threat to the entire planet. So if Earth is destroyed, Themyscira will be dead too. So.
Well, and if the Amazons, you know, it does appear that they were around whatever the first time was that brought those Mother Boxes there. So she's gonna be, you're right, very aware that this is bad.
Yeah.
And so that would be. Honestly, I'd be totally delighted if she just turned around and there's her mom standing in the museum or something. That would be the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh my gosh, there is that clip where she's turning around from the statue with this funny look on her face.
Maybe it could be.
So.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah, and then and that's why like when like you see like the boom tube and then the Amazons are ready for whatever they're coming, and then in comes in Steppenwolf, like
superhero pose.
Superhero
landing.
He stuck the landing.
Yep.
Real nice.
Yeah, then of course like
Steppenwolf, do we know? I can't remember.
What was that?
Do we know who's playing Steppenwolf?
He's an actor from Game of Thrones. I think his name is Syrian Hines or something like that.
Oh, Kieran Hines. Okay, he was Dumbledore's brother in the Harry Potter film.
Was he really?
Was he?
Yeah. If you watch Deathly Hallows 2, he's the one that.
He's Abblethorpe, right?
That runs the tavern. Yeah.
Oh,
so that's him.
Damn! I didn't know that. Wow.
Okay.
Well, now I like him even more.
All right then.
He was also recently in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's how that's how I heard it. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm excited, and especially when you hear that the voiceover when there's no protectors, and then you get that shot. I don't know if you guys remember when Zach posted on his Vero of like the behind the scenes shot of Arthur swimming. This is that shot.
Yep, and it's such, I don't know, it's just so beautiful. He moves
I know.
I don't know. We're all just like, totally underwater beings. Like, it fits so well. Their movement, the fluidity, all the water, everything. It's just so cool. I'm just okay.
Before we go any further, I just wanted to appreciate how badass Steppenwolf looks like. And
he looks great.
I think he's that kind of a villain that Diana might respect in regards to, remember how in Wonder Woman she said that real generals, they fight with their army and die on battlefield, and you see that Steppenwolf is always fighting himself alongside with his army. And
this is true.
He's like a warrior in the best meaning of this word. And I just like how he's visually really menacing. He looks exactly like the villain that you need an entire Justice League in order to put the rest.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. He looks really awesome. And I kind of he's got a beautiful voice, even just his line, no protectors and stuff like that. It's got a really nice timbre to it. He sounds like a villain. It's great. So I am there for that. Okay, so are we gonna talk about what comes after no protectors?
Oh God, before that we see the shot of Arthur and then Diane in the street looking up at something. I don't know what she could be looking at. I don't know. And then you get that shot
it looks
of.
like all the lights went out. Like
I know.
Yeah,
all the lights are gone. So something is weird.
Something's going on.
She doesn't like it.
I think this moment with Anna, I think it's her searching for Cyborg.
Maybe.
Because this city, the surroundings look very much like in the next shot when you see Cyborg looking out of the window.
The broken window,
Yeah.
It has the same atmosphere like the previous shot with the Anna in the city.
Where is Cyborg's home city? Where is he from?
I
think Detroit.
That's what I wanted to say. Okay, yeah, this looks very Detroit-esque. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I know they filmed in Detroit for Batman vs Superman, and maybe they could actually use the actual city of Detroit for Cyborg. Who knows? But then, of course, in this shot, that's when we hear the "No Lanterns" line. Which, of course, all of us were like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Even I was like, whoa, that's awesome.
I know, because we knew that they're developing a Green Lantern Corps movie, but this is the first in-universe acknowledgement of the Lanterns.
Well, and I love
they're
it.
out
It makes
there.
sense. They're going, okay, so this planet doesn't have a lantern. It's not protected. It's going to be easy pickings, baby. You know? I mean, so you got no protectors, and then the very next line is no Kryptonian. I mean, they're really viewing this is an easy one to take over. Let's just take care of this easy one, and then we'll move on, which is a perfect setup for 6 scrappy, obnoxious people to come together and go, no, we said no. Yeah. So,
Now, one small thing I want to bring up, and because I saw this on Twitter earlier today, actually, the next shot, when you see the lake overlooking Bruce's lake house that we saw in Batman vs Superman, the lighting on the lake very much so looks like the bat symbol.
Holy crap, it does.
Oh,
see?
wow.
I'm so annoyed I didn't see that. I was too busy staring
I
at the
didn't
house.
see that either.
So, that's awesome.
Yeah. For that first little shot, it does. I mean, granted, as you get closer, it doesn't. But
stood out the bottom left. That's awesome.
Also about the no lanterns line, I just like how he didn't say no green lanterns. Like they left a room that there's all
more.
All of them exist in DCEU.
Oh, the color. That's awesome.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even think about that. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I have a feeling they might introduce us to maybe one of the lanterns by the end of this movie. I could be wrong, but I think maybe not the fact that he is a lantern, but maybe some acknowledgement of them at some point, or maybe because we know that there's that flashback sequence of the humans and the Atlanteans and the Amazons fighting the parademons. We see in certain shots the Thanagarians, I think, right? Like Hawkman and Hawkwoman's people, and then
it looks like it.
Yeah, and then maybe even the Green Lanterns are involved with that. So maybe
it's possible. It's possible. So, and maybe there hasn't been a lantern since then on Earth, who knows?
Yeah.
But I agree. I also agree that they've done a really good job like even a Man of Steel, they just ever so slightly tucked in like Wayne Industries on the satellite and stuff like that. It was really, really minimal, but they still had it there as a lead into the next film. Then the next film, we get a lead-in on, Wonder Woman and Cyborg and Flash, and, they give us all sorts of lead-ins, and now they're presenting us with that. And so this one, I don't expect a true blowout of a Green Lantern, but I do expect a lead-in that will then lead us, to be in anticipation for, like, the next Justice League movie, and that will introduce him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it feels like to me, is that he is going to be the lead-in in this show, so we may not get all of him, but we should definitely get, okay, this is on the horizon and it's coming, because that's what these films do. And I love that. So,
I also feel that there is pretty much a high possibility that Zack Snyder might went all the way, and we will see how Superman leading Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart flying to help Justice League to fight Steppenwolf. Like, we will see the introduction of Superman and Green Lanterns at the same time.
Maybe.
Because
maybe.
remember that post by Henry Cavill on his Instagram where he said something along the lines, I need to work out harder in order to be bigger than Green Lantern.
Yeah.
So
he's been teasing Green Lantern so long. He's obnoxious.
Yeah.
I love it.
I just think that he's going to appear with Green Lantern on the same screen. So
my biggest issue with that is simply that they haven't announced the casting at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, even in Batman v Superman, we knew who was cast for Flash and Cyborg and Wonder Woman and
Aquaman.
They ever showed up in there because, they had to play the part. And so usually they just can't keep the stuff out of the news, and they don't keep it such a secret that we have no idea at all going in. So I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't announce if they have cast this person, and if they haven't cast him, then they can't completely bring him in yet because he's, you need an actor.
That's what I was
So
thinking too.
I don't know. I find if they had announced it, I'd have been like, oh heck yeah, we're gonna see that. But I don't know. Maybe they're gonna wait and the month before and drop it on us, and I'll be like, oh, you were right. So it's entirely possible. We still have months to go, but I haven't heard anything yet.
This is one of the things I was disappointed about Comic-Con. There was this post on Tumblr talking about how Armin Hammer was spotted at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And people were expecting that he's going to show up during the Justice League panel.
Yeah, and be announced
as Lantern.
I kind of expected that too, so I was a bit disappointed when the announcements came out and it wasn't in there. I kind of assumed that would be where they'd drop something that big, and it was like, okay, maybe we're not there yet. I guess that's fair, but I would truly just love some confirmation because Army would be great at it, and I'd just like to see that happen. So.
And plus, Army's been trolling. But
I know he's been trolling.
I know. But also, I think as much as I want him to play Green Lantern, I think the trolling, for me, is kind of an indication that he's not. Because I don't think if he was Green Lantern, I don't think WB would let him be trolling for that long without an official announcement.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess you're probably
the vibe I was getting too.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think.
You have a point.
Yeah, because I think Army just likes playing with the fans. Because granted, he's still not that big of an actor, and obviously he's very active on social media. So I think he just likes having fun with the fans. Even though it might get him in a little bit of trouble, I think he's just trying to have fun more than just
that, and when Man of Uncle 2 was announced, he pretty much said that somebody asked about it. He was like, oh yeah, we're totally working on that. And then he calls the guys up and goes, hey, I just kind of maybe might have told them about it, Man of Uncle 2, or Man from Uncle 2, and they're like, oh, we can get on that. And so I'm not saying he made it happen. They might have already had it in the works, but it sounds to me like he kind of pushed it along and made it happen. Maybe he's hoping for a 2 for 2 now, and if he just pushes it along, he'll just get a Green Lantern out of it. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, anyway. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm just in general, I'm excited for whoever they have cast as Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart because Green Lantern's again, I didn't hate the Ryan Reynolds version as much as most people, but the best parts of that movie were this parts in space, and I think especially with the DCEU, if you keep the focus in space, I think you can get a potentially great Green Lantern movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see that, and honestly, Ryan was fine in the part. You're right. It just was, it was the screenplay more, and I'm really excited. Plus, I admit some of the limited exposure I have of Justice League was the cartoon that's been out for a while, the animated. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And I love Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's awesome. So I'm like, could you like go ahead and cast somebody for him too, please? Because I really want to see me a Jon Stewart on the big screen.
Yep.
So yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Maybe we should talk about this next.
Okay, when you get to see Bruce looking at the hologram of Superman.
Supergirl.
You guys really think it's Supergirl?
I don't think so.
The leg looks weird. So. I do admit it.
But at the same time, it is a hologram, so it is hard to tell.
It's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
And it's such a quick flash, you know, that you're like, hey, what the, and then it's gone. So I just, and the cape, like even now I've got it paused on 142, and the cape is still billowing, so it's pushing into the one shot of the leg, and I can't tell if
it's hard to tell, yeah.
It is or not. It's just hard to tell. But the way the trailer and everything seems to be focusing on Superman and Bruce is, you know, trying to live up to Superman, you know, and change his life and put this team together and save the world, stuff like that. I just find it weird if it's not Superman, you know?
Yeah, I get
if
you,
they suddenly segue out and be like, hey, Supergirl, then that would be weird to me. Because, again, we haven't heard casting. And, again, this entire everything build-up has been about Superman.
Yeah, it'd make more sense if it was Superman.
Yeah. But I do agree the leg looks weird. I agree. I totally do, you know? And so, I don't know.
It does just look really weird.
Yeah, you know, and Bruce has this classic brooding face on, which is true with me. I totally misjudged him. Maybe I shouldn't have made weapons out of kryptonite, you know, like...
You feel bad for it now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but either way, I don't know. I love the emphasis on Superman. I love the emphasis.
Yeah. Like this whole trailer, yeah, I feel like a lot of it is like focused on Superman. Like it's like one of the obviously we already talked about it, but like it starts out with the world is still in mourning after following the death of the Superman.
Yeah. It's not just, oh, well, he's dead. I guess we're moving on, you know, and I appreciate that because I don't like when even TV shows or other movies just suddenly they make it just kind of
gloss over it.
Yeah, and they just kind of drop it and move on. I'm like, oh, that's not how life happens, guys.
Kind of a big thing.
So, yeah, and it was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was.
And this music that is building building up right now is the remix of What Are You Going to Do When You Are Not Safe.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even notice that the first few times I listened.
Very beautiful.
Yeah.
And if this is actually the music from the film, I have no problems. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not worried at all.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's funny because
trailers, sometimes you have trailer music from the film, sometimes you don't.
Yeah,
so
it's hard to tell at this point, but you're right. Like, if this is an indication of what we can expect from...
I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
So.
If we can expect this kind of score from Danny, then I take back any negative thing I said, and I think he can do a great job.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Like especially, and the fact that they're even teasing Superman's theme in this, I think goes to show that they're going to keep those themes in the film. Like, I don't think they're going to be completely abandoned.
And that's really the smart way to go. You know, it's you know, and
because that's again, even for people who may not have loved the movie, most of us could agree the score for Man of Steel and even Batman vs Superman was pretty great. So I think just abandon those themes just for the sake of getting a new composer, I don't think is what is smart on their end.
Yeah, be what they do. You know, like even Wonder Woman, you've got a different composer, but he kept that theme.
Yep.
You know, that
and he built on it. Yeah.
And gave it to us at strategic, awesome moments when she's like Amazonian warrior out to kick your butt. It was awesome. You know, but like they didn't abandon it. You know, and yet it still had plenty of originality and beauty to it, all its own, that fit the film. So I don't think that they're gonna just abandon it, and I hope not, because I'd be really sad. Yeah,
no, but I think like I think the fact that even teasing it in the trailer, I think we're gonna hear it, like hear those themes again. Because especially with Wonder Woman, like as a good example, like they kept those themes for Wonder Woman because the popular theme. So I think they would get some backlash if they just abandoned all of those themes. Because then it's like, well, we already had 2 movies for all these themes, and then you're just gonna abandon them? Like, it wouldn't make sense. So
that would make sense at all. I don't think they'd do it. So.
Yeah. So to go on, yes.
This is the music. I'm totally here for it. This is a really beautiful background to this trailer.
It really is. Like, it really is.
And even now, how it's just building with the piano, that's all you're getting, and then it moves on, and I'm like, oh, this music is great. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And then to move on to this next shot of Barry going through the glass with the lightning around him. And we kind of talked, because, we have, like, our podcast group chat for Skype, and I forget who, one of you guys brought it up that maybe that girl in the background of Barry could potentially be Iris. It's hard to tell. It's so blurry, and it's such a far away shot.
That actress is so tiny. She's adorably tiny, and it just seems to me like maybe it's just because it's blurry and stuff like that. It just doesn't seem like it's her. She doesn't seem tiny enough. Her hair, doesn't seem the right color. It just doesn't look like her to me. So I swear it looks like just some random person shopkeeper. You know what I mean? I don't know, but at the same time, if it is, I'll eat my words. I'm down with that.
Yeah, so, we know that she has a cameo in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We know that Kiersey Clemons is in the movie for sure.
Yes, and I cannot wait. So
see their interaction. Yeah.
There is something weird about this shot because it looks like Barry is using his powers for the very first time. Like, I just don't see the point of him trying to go through the glass. Like, I think this might be one of the flashback scenes that explains Barry's powers or something like that, like how he got them, how he learned to use them, because it really looks like he's using his powers like just recently and realizing them at the moment.
I completely agree. And the setting is not really anything that has a whole lot else to do with the movie, wherever it is. And he's in his plain clothes, and even the look on his face right now at 1:43 is just like, he looks really...
surprised.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Wow.
This may well be a flashback, or, where he's just discovering, what is this, So,
yeah.
This should be fun.
It would be kind of funny if it does end up being a flashback about him discovering his powers, and ultimately, if that is Iris, it would kind of be a throwback to the pilot of The Flash when Barry discovered his powers in front of Iris.
This is true.
Oh,
and that was a good scene. That was really cool.
That was a good scene.
So, yeah. That would be fun. I'll take it if it is. If that's her, I'll totally say, hey, you were right, man. I don't know. I'm looking at her going, I don't know. It doesn't look like her. So, but maybe it's only because I've only seen the actress in her pictures and not done up like Iris West. Like, that always, it does change things, So, all right. But, yeah.
Yeah, but also, talk about the shot. It's so beautifully shot, and the way you see his finger slowly breaking through the glass. It almost kind of looks like Jello at one point.
Yes. It's really cool.
That's why I love the way that Zach has directed the speed so far.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. It's amazing.
The effects. It's been just really cool. So I cannot wait. So it looks to me like the frequency, like he's got a vibrating frequency and just shattered the glass, right, by touching it. That's really cool. Okay. Gimme.
Yeah.
So the next shot is, again, the badass Steppenwolf.
Swinging his axe.
Okay, what does his axe do?
I don't know, because, Steppenwolf hasn't had a long comic book history. My only exposure to him really was in DC's Earth 2 comic series, which takes place obviously on Earth 2, so that deals with kind of like the Justice Society's Earth, and he has a role to play there, where he's kind of taken over the world, and that's how the Justice Society is formed within the New 52.
Yeah.
So I believe he has an axe in that, but we don't know what its purpose is or how powerful it is. So I think
it doesn't have an amazing background power then.
No.
Okay. When he first hit the ground with it, I was like, holy crap, is he making the symbol? Is he making the symbol that we see in Batman v
the
Superman?
Omega symbol?
Yeah, but
it could be. It could be.
That after everything explodes, it looks more like he's either creating something or, It's really cool, though.
You remember the previous trailer, there was this shot of Amazons running towards...
Yes, I remember.
Yes.
There are all these earth shattered just the way right now. So
You're right. You're right. I just paused it at 154, and off to the left you can see a bunch of people, and some of them have shields and stuff like that. Yeah, okay. This is probably whatever first battle happened long ago.
Yeah.
Yes,
awesome!
Some people, of course, think that this is going to be in the present, but I truly believe that this is going to be at the very beginning of Justice League.
Yeah, like a flashback.
Yeah.
An origin story of Mother Boxes.
I agree, and I think that's how they got here. And however they defeated them the first time, if they had Mother Boxes, they wanted to keep them secret, hidden, and away from anybody who could, do the wrong thing with them. And so they divided them up, which is why it would make total sense that one is in Atlantis and the other one's in Themyscira, and, heaven forbid, where the other ones are. But it looks to me like they deliberately did that and divided everything and tried to just kind of suppress them because they didn't want this happening again. So I agree. I think it's a flashback.
I totally agree. Yeah, and that's why, just the idea of the human forces and the Amazons and the Atlanteans and whoever else, the idea of them all teaming up, literally all hands on deck, like the world is at stake. That sounds so amazing to me. That's why I can't wait to see it on the big screen.
Agreed.
Yes, it's gonna be amazing.
This is exactly the stuff of Lord of the Rings. Like, there was also, there were humans, elves, and then there was Aragorn with ghosts. Like, all these different types of population of this world, they came for this final battle, and
that's the big world-ending stuff. There comes a time when you just can't fight amongst yourselves anymore, and you've got to come together if you're going to make it. Otherwise, you're just going to get mowed down.
And I don't know where exactly, but I remember reading that there are only 3 Mother Boxes in DCEU, and they were divided between these 3 tribes: Amazons, Atlanteans, and humans.
Okay, that would make sense. I mean, it really would. So. Interesting.
If you remember this, when Lex Luthor was watching this hologram of Steppenwolf, he was holding exactly 3 Mother Boxes.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. So now even Lex probably... I feel like they're going to have to go to Lex at some point, because we know he's in the movie, but I feel like someone's going to have to end up going to Lex because he knows, because he's the one who ultimately probably is responsible for sending the signal out to bring Steppenwolf to Earth.
Yep. That might be very well how he comes into it. This is going to be really exciting.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. And then to go to one of the next shots when you see, Bruce and Alfred on the jet. I don't know, there's something about their relationship that...
I love their relationship.
Me too. Is and in this interpretation too, I love Jeremy Irons as Alfred. So much. I think he's again, kind of like we were talking about one of our previous episodes, to get the fan cast that you want, he was the only person I wanted as Alfred when they announced the new Batman movie, and then he ended up being Alfred. So to be able to have that, as a fan, I feel like I got something right for once.
Yeah,
but also,
it's very exciting when that happens. It's like, holy crap, I was right,
It happened.
Yeah, but seriously, he's done a phenomenal job, and I know, after Batman vs. Superman, he came out and said, oh, man, it kind of deserves some hate or whatever because there was a lot to that movie, but Justice League will be simple. I don't think that was him trying to be, a dick or be rude or to say, the movie sucked and it deserved all the hate, but he just, hey, I was involved in the movie, maybe it was a little too much, I don't know, but the next movie I'm in is going to be a lot more simple and focused.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's also the one, before Batman v Superman came out, who said, I've never really done anything like this before, but I feel like this is good work, and this is something I'm proud of, and it was I don't think that he's out there bashing it, and he's done just a lovely job. I love him and Ben together.
Yeah.
Bruce and Alfred, they are just
that
so
little
awesome.
Thing about the penguins.
Oh my gosh,
yeah, the exploding penguins.
True. It's those were the days when it was just Gotham and we didn't have to worry about worldwide, obliteration.
Yep. Now I don't know what it is, but Ben in a couple of these shots when he looks almost too clean shaven, because in Batman vs Superman he did have a little bit of scruffleness to his face. I don't know. I feel like he doesn't look. I don't know. I almost want the scruffle,
He's slightly baby-faced. I agree. And that was me too. I'm like, what the heck? He suddenly looks like 10 years younger. What happened? So, I noticed that too. I don't know what that is, but the fact that he's wearing business clothes and stuff might mean that he was going to some event and actually had to clean himself up and get rid of the stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Oh God, I have to look clean.
But yeah, I noticed that in the shot. I'm like, wow, he looks so much younger all of a sudden. What happened?
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then to cut. Go ahead.
It's kind of like, representation that he became like a different person. Like in Batman v Superman, he's with beard, like he. I don't know how to explain it properly, but in some tribes, in some countries, like shaving, it's like a beginning of a new life. In Shaolin monks, they shave their heads because they start a new life there. And I think like Bruce Wayne, looking so clean, it's like him going like a new person in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
I do agree with that. It's true. A lot of his scruffy funk last time was depression and obsession, and he was not in a great place. And I do think that, yeah, he's pulling himself together better, and this might be representation of that. So, if so, I will take it.
He definitely looked happier in that shot with Alfred.
Yeah.
So this next scene is probably on Steppenwolf's ship.
Yeah, with all the parademons.
Steppenwolf, yeah.
God, and you look at like the ship almost looks organic.
I was gonna say it almost looks Kryptonian in some ways.
And
I don't think it is, but I do think that they've gone with a similar idea of organic and not just look, it's a metal spaceship. Like they're pulling their ideas again from other inspiration. It's really neat looking, but yeah, even in the earlier trailer, I was like, "Whoa, is that like the scout ship again?" Because it looks Kryptonian in
it does.
a lot of ways. So,
yeah,
but I love that design. So
me too, and I love Steppenwolf's design too, because even then, like his armor looks organic, and especially when in the next shot when you see him looking up at the red sky with the parademons going up towards the sky, and him looking up, you can see all the detail within his armor. He looks kind of terrifying in the shots that you've seen.
Yeah,
he's got really cool armor. And then just the symbolism of, we're looking at him from the back and his little horns are coming up and the red sky. I'm like, wow, I think this might be a devil character. But maybe, I'm not sure, but I think,
Yep.
So,
it's just
really cool.
Yeah, and then to cut to the next scene of Arthur going, yeah, I honestly think we're all going to die.
I was like, oh, well, okay then.
And but again, like I think to have him like in this shot right here, to get such a good look at his armor, it looks like almost otherworldly in a way. Like, look when you see the scales on his arms, and it's just. I think that's probably the best look they could have gone with for Aquaman in a modern setting that doesn't look like just the orange and green Super Friends suit.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really love it. I think it looks great. It looks.
Yeah.
You can just tell that they pulled their inspiration from the sea, from fish, and yet they've still made it armor. This is for fighting, this is for battle, this is for protection, and so I really love it. I think it's great.
I like how his line, we're probably all gonna die, it's like a throwback to Steve Trevor when he was under the lasso.
Yeah, maybe.
He said almost the same thing, like, I'm taking you to the front. We're all
it's a really bad idea. We're all gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
There's always that one guy that's like, oh yeah, we're all gonna die.
He does seem more open and mellow in this shot than he does in any other shot of this trailer.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
It's very true. Very true.
I'm gonna laugh really hard, but because we don't actually get to see his wrists or his hands, so.
By the way, what is interesting is that if we look trailer further after Batman drives his Batmobile, we see Aquaman in casual clothes sitting on the table.
Yeah, he looks like a surfer dude.
I think that's kind of vibe they're trying to give to. Oh, and before,
which makes sense.
Yeah, and before I just want to talk briefly about the Batmobile thing. So I think I told you guys in the group chat, but it was so today's what, Tuesday? Yeah, so on Sunday, my fiance and I were driving back from my parents' house, and on the freeway, like right before the exit to get off to get on our street, on the freeway, on the stranded on the side of the freeway was a semi truck hauling the Justice League Batmobile back from Comic-Con, stranded on the side of the freeway.
That is so awesome.
Like it was just, I'm just like it's funny because I turned around, I'm like,
chances?
it's funny because I was so excited, I was like, oh my god, that's a Batmobile, and my fiance was like, oh my god, what? She's like, oh my god, don't scream at me in the car. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just so excited. Which I felt bad because I scared her, and of course, like when someone screams in a car, you know,
you think you're gonna die, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, I'm just gonna die of excitement.
That's so awesome. Oh, it's great though because I don't know, I like the Batmobile. I love the Batmobile.
Yeah.
And it did get an upgrade in this movie. There's a big like side cannon on it. Like there's only the one seat left for Bruce. Like it's not as big as there's more guns to it this time around than in Batman vs Superman, which of course pissed off some people online because it's like, oh, more reasons for Batman to kill. But it's like, yeah, how else is he gonna fight parademons with sticks?
Exactly.
Like,
Think
He's
people.
gonna drive around with a car that has no guns and just be like a sitting duck, you know. Come and get me. I don't know. Guys, they have to fight.
They have
you
to-
know this, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. I just love the shot of Bruce pulling it out because he looks very intense and he's gritting his teeth and you know the whole thing about how Arthur says I think we're gonna die and then we get that shot, it kind of just puts right into this is serious business, you know.
Yeah.
This is serious world saving business and you know, and Bruce is all the way invested, he's all in, you know. And anyway, no, but and it's just, I don't know, it suddenly ups the intensity and you go, oh man, it's gonna be cool. So yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah. And then it's just cool kind of seeing the lead kind of like going through this. Like, look, I'm assuming what is like a debriefing of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for him to say, I loved it. And then of course to go to the next shot.
Wait a minute, whose voice says we are all in some way held back? Who says that?
I think that's Bruce.
I think that's
Okay,
Bruce.
I cannot
Yeah.
identify the voice. I have tried, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? I can't seem to pull out the actor that is saying
Yeah,
it.
it sounds like Ben to me. But
Yeah,
Okay.
it sounded like Ben to me.
Okay, if so, then that's kind of a thing of beauty because it might very well go hand in hand with his whole Superman didn't just save people, he showed them the best parts of themselves. And this may very well be Bruce getting kind of inspirational to inspire his team in the face of possible death.
Great.
You know, in terms of, you know, we might die trying, but we're going to do this because
Give it
this
all,
is the right thing to do. And we're going to do it because Superman, you know, has inspired us too. And if so, I will take that too. So...
Yeah, and then of course we go to like the scene of like of Diana like throwing her lasso against the metal and like leaping her way up, flipping over.
Yeah,
That's
is-
awesome.
Oh, God, it's amazing.
She's doing the Spider-Man thing.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Wonderful thing.
I
love
think she's
watching
doing the
her
Wonder
moves.
Woman thing.
Yeah,
Exactly. She's doing a Wonder Woman.
She is. I love how they depict Amazons, you know, and how different they are from Kryptonians, and then you've got humans, and then you've got metahumans with powers, and they all have kind of a different way of interacting with gravity and space and air, that, you know, in the world, you
awesome.
know, that nobody else has. And I love how unique it is to each character. That is cool. And so, yeah, watching her do that is like, yep, she's an Amazon, and she's a really awesome one.
You know this scene with Diana, I wanted to talk about it in more details because in previous trailer and this one there's a lot of scenes in this kind of mine they're going into.
Yeah,
And
this
I
in this
think
location, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is location where humans buried their mother box.
Possible. I don't know. I have a feeling like for some reason I could have sworn that like that Cyborg kind of was the mother box that the humans had.
That's what I was thinking too.
This is entirely possible. We know that he's made from one, and I always felt like that was going to come into play in this film. You know, there's a reason that plot would take that course. You know,
Yep.
so that could be really fascinating.
But again, you remember that in the previous trailer there was this shot of Cyborg's father and
He had a mother box.
Yeah, wait, he had what looks like another. Yeah, that's also
You
true.
are right. So
That's also
either
very true.
a
It's
flashback,
hard to
it's the
say.
same one, or
Maybe it was a flashback. Yeah.
there's another one.
Yeah, maybe there is. Yeah.
I can't wait for this movie, you guys.
Yeah, me too.
This is way too
And to go on to this next shot of like Wonder Woman saying like, "We don't go this alone. We do this together." Like, ugh, like just.
She's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Like from the get-go, they're like, from the get-go, like, we're all in this, not cheesy, but we're all in this together, that, like, we need to do this as a team.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't try anything by yourself.
I love it.
And that's perfect, because that's the thing. This is not the time for going off solo and being, I'm the hero, and, you know, and all that kind of stuff.
It's a group effort,
Yeah, and it's going to take the teamwork to make it happen, just like it took the teamwork to take down Doomsday. You know, this is not a, you know, one person comes up and is the hero of all. We've got to work together. Plus, honestly, she's Diana, and I honestly think she's like, please don't go get yourselves killed, because then I'd be sad, and that's not cool. So, you know,
he's already lost them.
Exactly. Team effort, guys. So she's Wonder Mom, and he's Batman.
Yeah. Exactly. The parents.
Yep, this is our family.
Yeah, and then to go to, like, the one of the shots we've seen from the previous trailer of Barry's running, and just how beautiful, like, just...
I love it.
The scene, like, running through, like, the Speed Force, and then, like, he's leaving, like, that speed trail behind him.
Yep, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love watching the electricity come off the wires on his suit.
That's me too, yeah.
Like, that's why his suit is designed like that, okay, because otherwise it's like, what is that? That's weird, you know? Oh, I get it. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I think this next shot of, you know, of Cyborg, Batman, Aquaman, and Diana, I think we see, I think that's them in Star Labs right after they've recruited Cyborg.
Yeah, I think so.
Like,
it's possible. Either way, they all look geared up and very intense.
Yeah.
And I love it, you know, especially with Barry's voiceover of, okay, it's all great that you guys are, you know,
getting ready for battle. I love this. I love this. And he's just like, I just push people and run away.
Exactly. I was like, oh my god.
I laughed so hard. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But it makes sense. He doesn't. He hasn't had to learn how to fight. He doesn't need
he's
to.
so fast.
You know, exactly. He pushes people, he knocks them over, or he takes them to prison, or whatever. But he doesn't have to spend his time doing hand-to-hand combat. So this is all new.
This makes sense. Yeah, this is the difference.
You know, there is a moment when we see Cyborg and everybody else walking into some laboratory. I think there is this focus on Cyborg, and I think he was like going to get some answers from his father.
Oh, you know, that would make sense because
that would make sense. We know
his dad does work at Star Labs.
Yep. So, it's just that Cyborg looks really intense in that moment.
He does.
Yes, he does. And he looks really cool. And I gotta say, the light glowing from inside, you know, and the design of his, I'm like, wow. I mean, that's just cool. And he does look intense there. I cannot wait to find out more of his story. They promised the Cyborg is kind of the heart of this story, and I'm like, okay, give it to me. So yeah, I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, me too. Like, so much. And then this next scene coming up with, again, still talking about Cyborg and him kind of hacking into the Nightcrawler, and then him going like, "Don't worry, Alfred. Like, I got it from here." And then Alfred's like, "Do I know you?"
I know you?
That's not who's talking to me.
Who are you? Why are you talking to me?
It's I don't know, like, it's kind of that. Sorry. It's totally an awesome moment. I love how he says, "Don't worry, I got this." He is so in control and just kind of stoic,
calm and collected.
Influence that he's not just rolling in emotions, you know. And he looks so boss right there. He looks awesome.
He really does.
And so this is either the first time he's ever made contact with Alfred, and Alfred's like, say, "What?" You know, or he's simply a matter of, "That's not who is this?" You know. And so either way, you know, whether he's met him before, it's going to be an awesome moment, and I'm laughing already, you know. But he looks fabulous, and it's so cool to see him step in and be like, "No, I got this. You know, one team member is not here to handle this, so I'll just take care of it. It's fine."
I'll do it myself. Yeah.
And I think that this moment it goes after the moment that we will see next when Steppenwolf attacks this machine, and we remember that previous trailer Batman was driving that stuff, and I think Steppenwolf attacks Batman in that machine in the next scene in the trailer, and after he destroys it, Cyborg goes right down to repairs it.
Yep, puts it together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it would make sense. And that is a great case, which I expect to see in this film, of everybody playing to their strengths. They don't expect Barry to go out and be the amazing hand-to-hand combat guy. That's not his strength, you know. I mean, it has never been. And with his speed, it doesn't need to be, you know. Like, they all have their own
different
purpose.
parts, yeah.
Yes, and especially a little bit later, we see Diana taking on Steppenwolf, and truly, she's the one boss enough and otherworldly enough, you know, she's a demigod to handle this.
Yep.
Nobody else, no offense to Bruce, but, you know, nobody else is really in the position to be able to do that except for her. So, heck yeah, she's going to go do it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. Oh, that's very true.
I love how they're all playing to their strengths. That is just
that's great.
Yeah, and then, of course, again, like, more... Go ahead.
I just like, again, Steppenwolf is doing everything by himself. He's not like, you know, this typical villain that sends his troops and then gets pissed off, like, you know, if you need to do something, you have to do this.
Yeah. You're right. Stands in the back, and you guys are all idiots. Oh,
yep.
You know.
Like he's
just comes down and does his thing himself. He doesn't send other people to do it, which is awesome. You don't see that a lot.
He's not like a certain villain who sends his lackeys and then sits on a throne for 9 movies.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was gonna say that though. It was like, fine, I'll do it myself. That is the thing. Send your bad guys, and when they finally fail, then it's like, oh, fine, I'll do it myself, and then you get the big boss fight at the end. But I
yeah, and then he finally comes in, and then he looks like a nightclub bouncer. Like, am I wrong?
No, definitely not.
We have fun here if you haven't noticed.
All right.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Back to the conversation. But also, like,
all right.
And even look, if you look at this scene, like, Diana doesn't even look like all that intimidated by Steppenwolf either.
No, I love that.
Like, she just like misses the axe and she's like, okay, like.
All right, is that all you got?
Did you just throw that at me? Oh, you're gonna pay for that.
No, and then the next shot, he's throwing it at Arthur.
Yeah, this is true.
And again, this shot it shows how many of different styles Steppenwolf has. Like he can fight underwater just like Atlantean. Like he can fight on the ground, and then we see that he fights underwater. Like what this guy
can he do?
Yeah, he's not held back by a whole lot of things, and this is interesting. And on top of that, I think right here with him throwing it at Arthur, this is where you get the turning point, because it really appears like Bruce tracks him down. Bruce wants him to help. He tells him heck no and disappears in a wave, which is really awesome. You know, and then Bruce comes back and says, well, more or less. And Diana's like, more or less. You know, he said no. He said no. You know, so he really is. It's like, okay, that one failed. But then when they come and steal the mother box, you know, and he's trying to defend it, Mira's there. You know, we saw that clip already. You know, and then it's like, okay, this is serious. And then he goes and joins them, because this is not just some weirdo tracking me down anymore, like dressed up like a bat. This is okay. You know, this is the fate of the world. So, all right, time to come in. So, yeah, this should be cool.
And then, like, looking at this scene right here with Batman, like, fighting the parademons.
Yes.
Like, it looks...
So
and there's a family there. It's not like he just fighting them on some random place. Like, there's a family there that he was protecting. Or at least some group of people.
I see them down there crouched against the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, so this also looks like the same setting that Cyborg later blast some debris and stuff like that away that was falling on some people.
Yeah.
One of them was his father. I really want to know what's going on here.
Yes.
Maybe these are the kidnapped scientists and their families. They keep talking about that.
You know what?
They keep bringing that up.
Do you remember that one picture Zach shared a while back of Batman fighting some parademons? Like,
yes.
I think this is that scene.
Yeah, you're right. This does look like that scene.
Definitely.
And then somebody on Tumblr took Batman fighting in
the warehouse.
Oh gosh, in his game, you know, fighting the parademons and Batman v Superman.
Oh yeah,
and then compared the two, you know, and it was like, yeah.
Oh, like this time he's ready to take him on.
So, and I laughed.
Oh, God, and then this scene comes. I think this next scene coming up with Diana and Steppenwolf. I think this is probably the best look you get at Steppenwolf, like at least from a close up.
Yes, you're right.
You do get to see a bit of his face.
Yeah, you're right. That's it. Well, that's cool. And I love watching her.
That is cool. Yeah.
I know, and then her using her bracelets to deflect and
Deflect, yeah.
And then, of course, classic Batman shot of him just like about to glide down.
Oh, and I love that. And he's got the grappling gun in his hand. So
yep.
He's ready.
Yep.
And I love the red sky behind him.
Oh God, I know. I know.
It's great.
And then here Aquaman going, all right.
He's so great.
Well, see, the thing is, he looks impressed.
Yep.
She looks moved. You know, and I've heard somebody posit the idea that, okay, you know, maybe this is when Superman shows up, but you can see the shattered windows behind him. This looks like the same place they were just fighting Paradise.
Yeah, maybe he was like impressed by Batman or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, and which would make
wow.
sense because in the end, he's just a rich dude in a bat suit. I mean, really?
He's got a lot of, you know.
Oh, wait, maybe you can keep up with us. Nice. You know, so, and, you know, that would be cool. So.
I think Aquaman might also be impressed by Cyborg flying, because when you see Cyborg flying, it looks like it might also be the same scene where Aquaman and Dan was.
Yeah, you're right.
It has the same lightning effects.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Oh gosh, I need this movie.
You're like, I want it now. Please.
I kind of love me some Cyborg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. And then this upcoming shot that we kind of saw in the last trailer of Arthur using his trident to like blast the water away.
Oh yeah.
Water. Yep. I love that they added the extra clip though of him. He's obviously moving away from it to get back far enough so that he's in front of it before he uses his.
Yep.
Want to say trident?
Yeah, it's a trident. I think it's called a trident, even though it's not three pronged.
It doesn't have just three, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's not a quint.
And then also, looking at this next shot of, like, the explosion going on, I believe next to, like, a pillar or something, that shot, to me, is very reminiscent of Man of Steel when Clark's on the oil rig, and we get it right before he goes in to save the crew.
Every single time this happens, you know, because you're looking down on it from above, and all you get is the circular, you know, bit of the pillar.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, you know, like, where's Clark? He should be hanging on the side of it somewhere, you know?
Yep. And then the next shot of, like, you know, you get like the back end of the Batmobile, and then you see like the empty shell floating in slow motion.
Hello, Zack Snyder.
Yep.
I don't think this is your film. Joss has taken it over. It will be a Joss movie, and nothing of Zack will remain. Oh, he has saved this universe. Sit down, people.
Yep.
It's still Zack's film.
Sit down.
Look at it, man.
Yep.
Holy cow.
God. And then this next shot of the Batmobile, like dragging the parademons and flying them out.
I do wonder why the column is falling. I'm just dying to know if that was an accident, you know, and now he has to get out of the way before it falls on him, or if that was on purpose and they're trying to, you know, block off some other progression of something else. But it looks like an awesome action sequence, and I am here for it because you can see it starting to crush the building up above as Bruce turns the corner. Well, that's just scary. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the next shot, you get to see at least like the four of them, you know, like minus Batman. And again, that's them at Heroes Park.
Yes.
See, and you can see the scout ship in the background. I think
you can see the Metropolis cruiser behind them, the
police
vehicle.
Yeah.
It's very obvious Batman's or Superman's, monument. Like they're looking up at it, is what it looks like.
I feel like Superman could be there because Diana looks almost happy. Everyone there looks kind of still. She looks like she's almost like relieved.
Yeah, and she looks kind of happy, and I'm like, oh, does that mean we get our Superman back?
I know.
But this is also, though, like with all the police cruisers in the background and stuff, this is what makes me think, okay, this is that scene where things start blowing up and Cyborg deflects the car from the cop and says, you should probably move. You know, so I like when that's happening because all the cop cars are intact right now.
Yeah.
So I need to know what's going on, man.
A big event is about to happen here. I think this is probably one of the last scenes in the movie.
Agreed. But it is most definitely Superman's, you know, it's Heroes Park. You've got the reflecting pools. You've got all the flowers left down here that everybody have left for him. You know, they're looking up at his monument. The scout ship's over there behind them. What's happening? I need to know these things.
I need to know now.
I know.
I heard some theories that, you know, after being resurrected, Superman might be some sort of amnesiac. And
I really hope not.
Me too.
Worried that they don't have time for that in this movie. Like, they have a lot going on, you know?
Because everyone's thinking that, like, oh, Superman's gonna be evil, so they're gonna mind control him. Like, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like,
the way the buildup goes is that the world is lost without him. There's no hope without him. You know what I mean? They are completely and totally overwhelmed and undermanned trying to fight this threat. And I agree that it seems more like when he comes back, he's going to come back full force, Superman, resurrected back and helping them save the world, as opposed to suddenly a new threat on top of that. If this was Justice League 1 and they had already said that Justice League 2 was a direct sequel, I would go, okay, maybe that's possible. But they've said that this one's a standalone film. So I agree. I'm like, where on earth could you possibly do that and not have it be a ridiculous cliffhanger or something that happens too soon? Like, it's like he's evil for 2 seconds and then he's good again. I don't know. I like better the idea that we just have this buildup of he's gone and they are trying to carry on in his name, and then he's back and helps them push it through to the end. That's what I would prefer. But again, I'm not making it, so.
What's interesting is that Batman doesn't stand with everybody else. Like, where is Batman?
Yeah, where is he?
I wonder where he is, and I agree. And that's the second shot I think I've seen somewhere where it's just the four of them, and Batman is missing, and I'm like, where's Batman?
What could he be doing?
I know. hey, dude, make sure you don't get yourself killed here, okay?
Yes, please.
I don't know. I'm just excited just to see what's going on right here. I think that they're about to witness Clark coming back. Like, I honestly think that.
That's what.
Because obviously they're at his memorial. Something significant is going on there. We've seen it in a lot of the promo material this year. So I think
it has to do with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not directly. Maybe it may not be him coming back, but it has something to do with Clark.
Yes.
I feel like. Yeah, so I'm excited. And then to go to this next shot of like the Amazons on horseback riding through, trying to kill the parademons. And in this scene, as all these shots are going through, then you can hear like Superman's theme building up in the background.
Yep.
It's amazing. And then seeing Diana dive through to catch the sword, and then Barry barely taps it enough for her to catch it. It's
that. See, again, playing to his strength. That's fine. Don't go out and battle on your own if you don't know how to battle. But especially with that speed, look at how you can, tip the balance in favor of your team. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
So excited.
I don't know. And then I think one of everyone's favorite shots coming up of like Arthur riding, like almost like surfing on the parademon down through, crashes through the building, comes out, jumps through, and like whips his hair back, and then he's fine.
Typical surfer dude.
This is the kind of move that like a surfer or water god would do on
that's what
water.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
He's just pulled it off. He surfed a parademon down through a building and came out.
That's
and just
awesome.
I'm like, dude. I mean, God of the Sea, that's great, but he's fine on dry land.
Yeah, right?
God, it's fine.
But right before that moment, we can see that Batman's airplane is shooting at something, and I don't understand what exactly he's shooting at. Maybe it's an alien ship.
Maybe it's Steppenwolf's, I don't know, lair, so to speak, or, where everybody is. Maybe they're going straight to the source. I don't know. But the clip before that, there's a green line on the bottom of the ship, and people just freaked out and were sure it was Green Lantern. And I'm like, okay, but it's a green light. I don't know. I don't understand how that means Green Lantern. Maybe I don't know something. So, I think we're all just really hopeful and excited, and we want to, we totally want to see things where we see them, But I agree. I don't know what's going on, but it seems to me like I don't know.
Yeah, and no, I get what you mean.
Anyway, no. Either way, though, you're right. He's going into something and he's shooting like they're breaking through some kind of shield. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take it.
And that's probably one of the scenes in where like you see like Cyborg, Aquaman, and Diana in the ship that we saw in the last trailer in the one promo image. Yes. That's probably what's about to happen right there with that scene.
You're right. So they punch through there, they shoot through and punch through whatever it is, and then the back lowers down, and we get the epic shot of them all lined up, ready to fight.
Yep.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the next shot too, just seeing them on top of it. What I'm assuming is the Gotham City, the GCPD.
GCPD, yeah.
And one thing too, like that shot right there, almost looks like they pulled it out of one of the Arkham games.
Yeah.
Like the few shots they've shown us of Gotham in this movie universe, to me, very much so looks like the Gotham in the Arkham video games.
That's cool.
And especially because I still play Arkham City regularly, and that kind of like visual style looks like the Art Deco kind of like old fashioned looking buildings. It looks amazing. And then just this scene also this scene that's like, oh, how many are you, like where he's like, how many of you are there, and Batman's like, not enough. And then, of course, the classic Batman scene of, like, Jim Gordon turning around. They're all gone, and then Barry just turns around and he's like, wait, what? Where'd they go? I know.
Whoa, what? Oh, my God.
I know, and especially, the funny thing is, like, for a guy so quick, how does he not notice?
Yeah, right? I'm just like...
But see, he's Barry. It makes total sense.
I know, it makes... Yeah.
And, like, Commissioner Gordon's speaking, so he's listening.
So he's listening, yeah.
You know, like, he has no thought about this. And then, whoa, they're all gone.
You know, he's like, so they just vanished. Huh. That's rude.
See,
and then he just runs.
He's like, okay, bye.
Really has the full package in terms of comic timing and the ability to do drama. Like, we've always, I don't know, my drama mentor always said, and he's right, you can't teach comic timing. People either have it or they don't. You know, if they have it, they can hone it and make it better. If they don't have it, it's just not something you can learn. It's something weird.
Like it's there or it's not.
Just right. You know, and if you don't have it, you just go do drama. You know, and so, but he's got both.
Yeah. He has both in droves. Like he's gonna be one of the standouts of the movie, I think.
The way he delivers this line, I swear, I laugh every single time.
Yeah. And then of course like the big
I love watching him leave.
And then of course like the big Justice League logo comes up, which of course I still think it looks pretty cool. And then it cuts to the scene of you see Alfred's scotch shaking. And then you're like, oh, what's going on? Who could that be? And then, of course, all of us watching are like, we know who that is. Like, and then you see Alfred looking up, and then he's like, I knew you'd be, or he said you'd be here. I hope you're not too late. That's an awesome way to end the trailer. Most of us can guess that it's Superman. I mean, it might not be, but we can probably guess that it is Superman. And it teases Superman without showing him. And he had a presence throughout this entire trailer, and nothing was spoiled in that aspect.
Yeah, I love that they're keeping, you know, was that, okay,
like this was like,
it, but give us a hint,
yeah,
you know, and that's
and especially because we were talking about this in our last episode and like about what to expect. I think this trailer was a perfect amalgamation of everything we wanted. We got Steppenwolf without getting a full body shot of him. We still haven't seen much of his face. There's still much to be desired of what there is to see with Steppenwolf. And also, Superman had a huge presence in this trailer without us physically seeing him.
Exactly,
Yes.
And to end the trailer on that note, I thought was incredible. This trailer was, from start to finish, awesome. And the fact that it ends with all in, I think that also was an indication of that being Superman.
Agreed.
Yeah,
and they are all 100% in terms of we will do this or we'll die trying, you know, which is exactly what they all would do, especially as they're trying to you know, honor Superman's memory. You know? So there's a lot like I don't know. There are still, again, I've seen people, but no, that's got to be Green Lantern standing there because look, there's a dot of reflection in Alfred's eye and Alfred's glasses, and it's like, but those are just lights. Like he's got one on each side. They're blue. You know, and if you pause on 3:59, yes, I am a nerd. There's a tiny little suggestion of a red shoulder right there.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then the camera pushes forward just a little bit and it leaves. You know, like you don't have it.
Yep.
But, and then I'm sorry, but Alfred's line, he said you would come. Let's just hope. And as he says hope, he nods his head down like he's looking at somebody's chest. I mean, come on.
Oh god,
you know,
I know. Like to be any more.
I don't know who's this.
Like I don't think they were subtle enough.
I mean, the way how Alfred pronounced the word hope, it's like he did it on purpose. Like
Hope.
Like
it was very deliberate.
Yep. And I know that people are really excited and they want to know where Hal is. They want to know where Green Lantern is. I totally agree. I really do. You know, we need to finish up the league. I know it's 7 people, but here, I really think this film is about getting their 6th member back.
Yeah, exactly. Like getting the world their hero back.
And we get Darkseid.
Then we get
Justice League 2, and we get Darkseid, who's an even bigger villain and more of a threat than Steppenwolf, because Steppenwolf is like his general. And then you need, guess what? A Lantern too. Like, you know what I mean? I really think that I don't think we're going to get as much Green Lantern until we get the next Justice League movie, and then boom, we will get him, we'll get everybody, it'll finally be assembled, and all the amazing haters who go, well, they just rushed through this so much, will not recognize that it took them like 7 movies to get the entire Justice League actually assembled, you know?
Yep.
So, but yeah. I really think this one is about Superman, you know. Everything about it points to that, you know, and I'm delighted. And at the same time, somebody's like, but they just gave away the plot of the whole movie. And I was like, yeah, but if you didn't expect Superman to come back, then I'm not quite sure where you've been. Yeah. And I'm not quite sure what you expect out of a superhero comic play. You know what I mean? People don't stay dead in comic world, so it's just like
they don't.
Expected. If you didn't expect this, I'm kind of surprised. And then you get the fools out there going, well, you're doing Justice League without Superman. I'm not watching this. And it's like, oh, guys, they're trying to give you hints that he is there. You know, they just don't want to ruin it completely. Can we just pay attention to what's there, please? So, yeah, anyway, excuse my frustration. But I do.
People are going to complain
this
about
movie is about getting number 6. This is about getting Superman back and saving the world and living, you know, and them all kind of discovering themselves in that vein of true heroes willing to sacrifice themselves for the world, you know? And then we will move on and get the last one. And we'll get more of the focus. It'll be pretty cool. So, all right, I'm done.
You know, some people suggest that this final scene in the trailer happens in Batcave, but if you pause at 3:50, you will see that this is happening on the street near that building where Batman was arresting in Batman v Superman.
Yes.
Near the lake.
Yeah, it looks like trees behind Alfred, you know, so I agree. It's like he's outside.
It's outside.
Yeah, somebody did. We laughed though. They were like, "Can I just say how awesome it is that he's working on something and yet he still has a glass of whiskey next to him and scotch or whatever, you know?" And somebody else is like, "Oh well, you know, he kind of needs it. It's like gone are the days when we wind up penguins, man. I need a drink. The world is over, you know."
Yes,
like,
I need to drink my problems away.
You know, Alfred, I get you, buddy. I do.
Yeah, we understand.
Diet Coke right there. So.
When Katie, you were talking about assembling the Justice League entirely in Justice League 2, I think this is why Steppenwolf makes a perfect sense to be a villain for the first Justice League movie. So when we see that it takes 6 members, including Superman, to stop just a general of Darkseid, what kind of power you need in order to stop Darkseid himself? Because if general is that powerful, then how powerful will be Darkseid? Because right now it's like Steppenwolf is as powerful as Doomsday, but he has he has strategy. His entire line, no protectors here, no lanterns, no Kryptonian. Sounds like he's building up a strategy like. So they don't have their main firepower, so we can go and take mother boxes easily.
Yep, and I agree. That's exactly what I was thinking. Is that, you know, they need Superman to defeat this one. They're going to need another member to defeat Darkseid. Darkseid is going to be the big bad, you know, and Steppenwolf is a big bad. So it's really good progression, and it's a really good build. Because if they bring it in too fast and rush it like some people are accusing them of doing, then how do you possibly find an even bigger threat to really need a 7th member? You know, it just, everything pulls together just right. It's flowing together beautifully. I'm impressed. So I cannot wait for this, guys.
Yeah, and I think it would be hilarious if, you know, there will be after credit scene where we see Darkseid sitting on his throne on Apocalypse Planet, and he is like, "If you need to do something, you have to do this by yourself."
Oh god,
man, that seems like
that'd be too on the nose of them trying to get in the face. Yeah, like they would.
But honestly, I actually expect a tease of Darkseid in Justice League movie.
Yeah,
by the end
I would too.
I think by the end, but I honestly, I think other than Suicide Squad, I think DC has kind of made it clear that they're not too big on end credit scenes.
Which I'm fine with.
Which for me, like, I don't. And plus, I hate sitting through credits anyway. Like, I'm that type of, like.
You know, by then, you gotta go so bad, it's like, I shouldn't have had that pop, you know, that you just are like, hurry up, man, fast forward. So, yeah.
Exactly.
But again, Justice League is going to have, oh no, I was thinking about Junkie XL score, but then I remembered about Danny Elfman.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder whose score is going to play throughout the entire credit scene, because if it be Junkie XL, I might see it right through the entire credits.
Well, I would assume it would have to be. I would assume it would have to be Danny, because otherwise they would both end up getting credit. And Junkie made it seem like it was pretty clear that he was completely replaced, not that they were co-composing.
Yeah, he did do it. Say, you'll hear some of my stuff, or we're sharing the credit. It seemed like they were starting from scratch, which kind of bums me out.
But then when you watch this trailer, I got a little bit of hope.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I'm like, gosh dang it. So is that Junkie XL's music, and they're just using it for the trailer, or is that the music that we're actually gonna get? Like, I don't know at this point, and I'm just stressed. I'm just not sure. But
I'm just curious who did this trailer in the first place, because it looks. I mean, as you pointed, that scene when Aquaman was in the ocean, there was this post by Zack Snyder back in the day where he was working with that particular moment from the trailer, and I kind of feeling that Zack did this trailer long before today, and we see it just now.
Well, despite what people think, directors don't usually cut trailers all that often.
This is true.
Like, it's mostly like a studio and like a marketing team. Like, I think Zach had a hand in the Comic-Con trailer from last year because that was mostly footage and not a full trailer.
Yes, but he also made it clear at the beginning where it said this has been cut together for Comic-Con. Like, you know what I mean? He made it clear this is not really the official trailer, you know? Yeah. And so that felt like a labor of love in a lot of ways. And I don't know how, I agree. I'm not sure how long this trailer has been ready, you know, and where, like, did they put it together, you know, before, or they start putting it together before Junkie, you know, was replaced and used his music, or, you know, did they do it afterward? Because they would have had time also. I just don't know how long it takes to put together a trailer, you know, and then use the new, I don't know. It's really hard to say. And then sometimes you think, wow, that's the best music ever, and then you get to the film, and then none of the trailer music was in the film at all. Yeah. So there's also
that's what, like, I was like, with Man of Steel, like that last trailer that teased, you know, the what are you going to do? We're not seeing the world track. Like that was obviously a different cut version of it, but that was the score, and I was so happy to hear that within the film itself. And even at the Comic-Con trailer for Batman vs Superman from 2 years ago, at the very end, you hear Batman's theme, the da 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 da, like that theme was in that trailer. So I think
this is true.
So I think with that indication, I think we are going to hear like the familiar themes that have already been established.
Yes.
Because up until this trailer, again, like we've already had a couple conversations about it, I have been a little worried as to whether or not Danny Elfman would be able to keep those scores, if he was going to do something new entirely and kind of throw away those scores. But with this trailer, I do get a bit of hope that we are going to get those scores again.
Yep, I agree. I just have hope with this trailer music that's going to be what they're using. You know, usually when you get this close with a trailer, they're starting to pull music from the film to put behind it. But sometimes they don't, you know, but I'm really hoping that that's what we're getting, because if so, I will be very, very happy.
Yeah, me too. Like, I just, watching this trailer, and again, seeing this trailer at Comic-Con, at the DC booth, and then having the cast walk out was, again, just phenomenal. It was such an amazing experience just for me to be there, and so worth the wait, because usually like, on my YouTube channel, I do like reactions and stuff, but I would have much rather been there in person and seen the trailer, and then the cast right after than just sitting at home watching it on a laptop. Like, I'm not saying like it sucks for you guys, but...
No, I understand. That's got to be an amazing experience.
It is.
I knew I wasn't gonna, so. I'm glad you got a shot. That's so cool.
Yeah, and it was honestly other than, like meeting my fiance and the day we met and the day I proposed to her and all this stuff, Comic-Con that day when the trailer dropped and seeing the Justice League cast was one of the best days of my life.
That's fair.
Yeah, and it's just as a fanboy just of DC and then of the DCEU, just my entire life I've always wanted to see these people, and the closest thing I've ever really gotten was like Stephen Amell posting a meme I made a couple years ago, or like last year I bumped into Justin Hartley from Smallville and I got a picture with him, and those are cool things because like, yeah, those are guys who play DC superheroes on shows that I really enjoyed, but like I always wanted to meet like the movie people, like when I wanted to meet a Christian Bale, or like, and now like I wanted to see the cast of Justice League, and like to be able to experience that and see them in person and have Ray Fisher and Ezra Miller wave at me, like like that was so awesome, and it's an unforgettable and unbelievable experience that words can't describe the feeling I had when I was there experiencing all that. It was such an awesome experience, and I hate to just like, I don't mean to like rub it in your guys' faces, but just
no. I don't find the words for it, but all you can say is awesome. I totally understand that feeling. So it's basically like awesome times 1,000, because you can't find the words to actually like say how awesome, how fabulous it was.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful too, because I was lucky enough that I was able to go to Comic-Con for free because I was a volunteer. So every day I would volunteer for a few hours, and then I had before and after my scheduled volunteer hours to do whatever I wanted at Comic-Con, and I was able to do some stuff. And, I was able to get a picture with Jeff Johns, even though he didn't know that he was in the picture. So I got a picture with him. I saw Bruce Timm. I saw the Black Eyed Peas for a second, minus Fergie. I saw like a bunch of cool people. I saw Kevin Conroy, and I heard him say, "I am Batman," in that awesome voice he does.
Oh, cool.
That was awesome. I saw, like, not comic book related, but like when I was a kid, I used to love the Jimmy Neutron cartoon, and then I met the voice of Jimmy Neutron, talked to her for a second. It was really fun, and then also one of the highlights too, I went to the Young Justice panel where they talked about seasons 1 and 2, and then they gave us a look at like the characters of season 3 of Young Justice, and that was really cool too. But again, nothing beats the experience of being at the Justice League panel. The only downside to that was my phone died right before it all went down. That was the only thing that sucked. But again, also I'm one of those people where like, of course I like recording things in the moment, but in the last few years, very few times have I actually been able to like sit down and enjoy what it is I'm experiencing, because I'm too busy trying to record it for me to watch at another time. And being able to just sit there and experience the moment of seeing Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher all there in person, I think it was almost like a blessing in disguise that I was able to experience that without having to focus on, am I getting a good angle on this shot? I just want to experience that in the moment, and I was able to do that, and nothing beats it, and I'm forever grateful that I was able to experience that.
Nice.
That is totally awesome. Totally cool. It was nice to live vicariously through you.
Yeah, and I was doing, and I felt bad because like I was like doing my best to try to keep you guys updated as much as I could, and then like my phone dies and the trailer drops, and you guys are like, "Nick, where are you?" And I'm like, "Ugh." Like.
We freaked out, and we're like, "Okay, so if I got back fast enough, would you record?" We're all like, "We totally would. We would record right now.
I gotta know.
Tonight. We would. Okay, yeah, Tuesday's good."
Yeah.
So, like.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we wanted to do this like right after, but just we were all busy, and I can't exactly do this commentary when or do this podcast when my fiance's home, because then that's kind of like just like rude for me. Like I'm avoiding time with her to do this sort of thing, and she's already like annoyed, and it's funny because like she's already like annoyed enough that I've seen the trailer a billion times. She's like, "Nick, I think you're kind of obsessed." I think
you're like, "Of course I am, honey. You didn't know this yet?"
I'm like, "That's one of the reasons you're marrying me."
And he gave me the 2 fingers, and I'm like, "Yes, I know. I've been down here 2 hours," and I said, "I've been down here 1. Off you go." So he's upstairs waiting. So I hear you.
yeah. But and that's why that's why seriously, like thank you guys so much for doing this with me all the time. Like it's so much fun to be able to, especially this week, to be able to break down that Justice League trailer entirely, and to be able to geek out and to finally talk about all the awesomeness that happened at Comic-Con. and it's just, I love being able to do this with you guys. It sucks that we haven't done it in a couple weeks, but it was kind of worth the wait for what we got.
Oh yeah, we
exactly. Yeah.
You know how they say patience is a virtue.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Yep, very much so.
You know, there was something I wanted to talk with you about. In the trailer, there is this line about how Superman didn't just save people; he helped to see the best part of themselves. And I already saw some people talking about like, but Superman didn't do anything like that in previous movies. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess those people don't understand Superman.
In Man of Steel, starting with his childhood friend Peter Ross, after he saved the bus, you saw that in the bus he was kind of a jerk towards him.
And Clark changed his life.
Yeah, after that incident when Clark was bullied, Pete helped him to get up off the ground. Like, he influenced every single person he encountered with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just don't
in one
understand.
way or another.
I don't either, and that did leave a bad taste in my mouth. It was like, are you kidding me? And on top of that, Bruce is saying it. You know, Bruce is talking from experience. You know,
exactly.
And the sad thing is, I thought about it, and I was like, okay, so maybe he did that for Bruce when Bruce, had the death stroke, ready, and he asked him to save his mom. And I thought about it, I was like, no, that's pretty much when he showed him the worst part of himself. When he showed Bruce the best part of himself is when Bruce said, I will go save your mother, and I promise. And
Martha won't die.
Looked at the guy who almost killed him, you know what I mean, and has no reason to trust, and said, yeah, okay. I mean, right there, he, Batman could feel that. And don't tell me that this Superman doesn't inspire, because I will find you and hurt you.
Yeah, and that's why, like, when people were complaining about the line of, like, Superman being a beacon of hope, and everyone's like, yeah, you can say that, but Superman was never a beacon of hope because he's always complaining about saving people. It's like, he was never complaining about saving people.
When did he complain?
He never complained.
Yeah, God forbid the guy experienced mass death around him, and people were trying to, and someone was trying to blame him for, like, when the world, people just don't get that. They're like, oh, he's just being whiny and emo. He's not a real hero. Like, no, he's, for lack of a better phrase, a human being with real emotions. Like, he's not just like, oh, everything's okay, I can save everyone. Like, no, that's not how the real world works. Like,
no,
he can't just be happy you can't just be happy after you just experienced mass death around you and, like, there's nothing you could have done to stop it. Like, it's, people don't understand that. People just want Superman to be perfect, and then they complain when he's perfect. Like, people, like, it's like, fanboys who hate the DCEU, like, they don't know what they want. They want the Christopher Reeve Superman, but when they got it, they didn't like it. And when they complain about Superman being too perfect, and then when you get a flawed Superman, they want him to be perfect again.
It's
like,
terrible. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like,
you cannot please everybody, and that's
you cannot.
what annoys me about these people.
You cannot. And basically,
you can't have your cake and eat it too.
No. And basically, like, they are reacting like everybody, or like, much of the world in Batman v Superman did. They wanted him to be a hero, but they wanted him to be the hero their way, the way they wanted him to do it, and the way that made them feel all right about it. And in the end, that's not what it's about, guys. And on top of that, I will take a figure who struggles and still chooses to do the right thing, even though it might not mean the best for him. Even though it leads him to moments of doubt or wondering if he's doing the right thing, or, wondering if it's really worth it, and still chooses to do it, I will take that hero a billion times over the person who just blindly does it and never has a problem.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, me too.
That person inspires me. So, I'm sorry if you guys don't like it, and I'm sorry if you didn't see that, but
I'm sorry I like a Superman with character.
Yeah.
Okay. The husband's down and has been looking at me 3 times now.
Okay.
So I probably should go.
All right. Well, in that case, it's probably a good note for all of us. Thank you, Katie, for joining us. Thank you, guys, all for joining us. This was a really fun episode to do. I've been looking forward to doing it ever since the trailer dropped. It was awesome.
Until the movie drops.
Yeah. I can't wait till the movie drops. And also, before we go, I just want to say, That poster that dropped for Comic-Con was amazing.
Jesus, I love that poster.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I loved it. And that's gonna be the thumbnail for this video, so you guys are gonna end up seeing it again.
Yay!
Nina's the photographer, put that up on Vero and mentioned that, you know, he specifically took it off of the Alex Ross, am I right? You know, style.
Yeah.
But I had this idea, and so I just went with that, and I guess he didn't realize that the promo department would go with that. It was just part of the stuff that he put together, and he had lots of ideas, and he put it out there, and that's the one that they were like, ooh, we're doing that. And so he was really excited to see that come out. And I was like, dude, that is awesome. So that is a thing of beauty.
Yep.
I just hope that once Justice League hits theaters, we will get this poster with Superman added.
Maybe.
Because
I admit, I'm like, I kind of need my boy there, but I understand why he's not. But I hope you did one with Henry too. We can get that later.
Yeah. All right, yeah. So and thank you guys again for doing this with me. It's always fun. If you guys, before you guys go, quickly go back around and reintroduce your guys' self.
I'm Katie, and I'm Story Advocate on Tumblr.
I'm Lily from Lily Loves Comics on Tumblr.
Greg Congal on Tumblr. My name is Atom.
All right, and then if you guys, of course, know me as Nerdy Nick on here, True Man of Steel on Tumblr. Thank you guys all for listening in, and thank Katie and Lily and Artem for joining me as always. It looks like we couldn't get Jan here today because she was busy. She has a presentation to do, so she unfortunately couldn't join us. But she was with us in spirit, so. Yeah, so with that being said, again, that's it from all of us here. Thank you guys for listening. It was a hell of a lot of fun doing this podcast. And then, of course, thank the awesome people for joining me this week. And I'll talk to you guys soon. And again, for everyone listening, if you guys like what we see here, you can listen to our previous podcast where we geek out for several hours at a time. It's a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel. You know, listen to our stuff. Give us feedback of what you guys would like to hear us talk about in the future, or what you guys like us talking about now. Let us know what you guys like in the comments section below. Thank you guys for listening, and until next time, have a good one.